Yeah, hello. Karibuni sana. Yeah, today is another good day. Yeah, that the Lord has made. Karibuni, so that we can be able to talk a few things here and there. Kama vile mnajua, upinzani bado unaendelea kupata moto, na hii vita ni kama tunashinda. I don't think if there have ever been a better sign kama ile mimi naona. Saa zingine people might think we are over positive, but we are not over positive. The truth of the matter is opposition, this election is for this dispensation is for the opposition to lose. A little bit napigiwa simu. Yeah, I'm sorry, I just disappeared. So I was just saying, for the first time in the history of our country, upinzani hujaijikuta at a very good position kama sahi. Everything is aligning, and there is a lot of hatred to Ruto. You know, that's also one advantage which upinzani should take very strongly. Yeah, you can actually weaponize that hatred, and that is what they are supposed to do. So moving forward, and that's why you can see, if you want to understand how hatred to Ruto is working, look like hata story ya ODM imekataa kabisa. There is even division. There is even division in Odinga family. Like leo nimeona huyo msichana wa kina Oburu, she is now even complaining that people are saying she is not respecting Ati Oburu. So that's what I'm trying to say. For the first time in the history of our country, we are at a point whereby so many positive stars are aligning for us, and it is something which we have to take positively and kindly, and know that kuna vitu Mungu anatuwekea which actually are making our journey to Canaan very, very easy, and they are also making Ruto's journey to Sogoi very easy. Na mtu asiwadanganye ati maisha ya Wakenya or things which we are waiting ati Ruto will have an easy life. No, Ruto is not going to have an easy life. It's complex than he thinks. It is complex than he thinks. So yes, whether we are going to pursue an electoral path or we are going to pursue an austere path. All paths are now possible. And now what we are supposed to do, especially in hili kitu, nataka sasa even to advise the principals, our principals in opposition. What we are supposed to do is, we now have, for the first time in the history of Kenya, we can be able to weaponize Ruto. Unajua, in politics, you take advantage of everything. Now there is a lot of hatred to Ruto. Make it a weapon, weaponize it. You can weaponize hatred, advance that hatred to everybody. Yes. Squeezy, hakuna mtu anapenda Ruto, Kasongo, what? Already we have enough names to actually agree that he is not the right man for the job. And that is what we are supposed to focus on. If we focus on that, we are winning this race mapema kabisa. This is one of the easiest elections to win. Even with the planning, even with the stealing. Hii ni uchaguzi tunaweza shinda haraka sana, because there are so many things which we can do right. Mobilization, na ikifika siku ya kura, we make sure that we sensitize people to vote. Registration, we just need to encourage people. So kazi yetu ni to monitor how the government is registering. We just need to make sure that we monitor the government does not introduce illegal votes. That one is our responsibility. So tukiruhusu serikali kukuwe na so many illegal votes owing to us. So that is something which we have to look at and we have to monitor. We cannot allow illegal votes. So in terms of that, there is no alternative. We have to do the right thing, unfortunately. Otherwise, nimeshukuru sana. Thank you for your day. It's my hope that you are doing well. I'm just getting out. So wacha tufanye mambo sasa. Tuambia somi naelekea. Bado ni wakati wa jioni saa hii. Ya sasa saa hii sisi tunataka kufukuza Kasongo. That is the clarion call for our platform. And the only thing which we can do here is to make sure that we have enough rhetoric actually, which can actually send Ruto home. So, and we have to agree on that as a people and as a nation. Yeah. So karibuni sana kwa show yetu siku ya leo. I think today is going to be a short one. Kuna vile nasikia nimelemewa kidogo. So I want to recharge a little bit. Maybe tomorrow I can come with more content. I can come with more energy. So Leo, I think I might do 2-3 hours, and then we call it a day. Unless wale wakereketo wanakujanga, they will be able to come and they push on their time. But I don't think I can manage a long show today, because my day was tough. I've really overworked today, so I was doing some documents here and there, editing work, some of it to make. So ukisikia nikikwambia I don't have enough energy to do a long show, but we have to keep on doing the right thing. Yeah. So bado vita ya Marekani, Wayahudi na Wapashia inaendelea. Persian. The other one, the Gulf War is going on, and I've heard when I had followed it, nimesikia ni kama kumekufa watu 1,000 saa hii. In Iran, 1,000 people are dead. Saturday alone, when they killed Khamenei, Khamenei went down with 40 people. Na penye nimefuatilia hiyo story ni kama wamekuwa wakitafutana na huyo jamaa mbaya sana. So Saturday wakati waliweza kufanya triangulation, wakajua huyo jamaa ako within, wakajua sasa hawezi muacha. I think pia Kamenei amekuwa akijificha sana. I didn't know that ilikuanga mchezo wa paka na panya. Maybe hata huyo Kamenei amejaribu because amejificha sana. I'm hearing he has been hiding, like even during Saddam time walikuwa wanamtafuta by the way. So Saturday even when umesikia wakisema ni kama hata negotiation ilikuwa imeingiana. I think the moment when Israel was able to see now they had a good chance of killing him, I think they just decided to kill him. I think there was a very big grudge for him. I don't think they wanted to forgive him because they associate him with enabling Akina Hezbollah. So that's what, and I think that is what has made them to have that very big grudge with the Ayatollah. So I think that's why the Ayatollah had to die. It's unfortunate. Yeah. I can see there are those people who really like him very much. Nimeona hata kuna watu wamehuzunika sana kwa mazishi yake. Yeah, anyway, death is death. Death is ugly. Yeah, huyo jamaa atakukufa ikuwa rahisi. Hiyo kusindiliwa 30 bombs is not the best way to die. Yeah, unajua hata kama kusindiliwa 30 bombs, that is not the best way to die. Yeah. So that is what happened there. So that side of the world, me, I don't know what the Gov got wrong in this life. Because hiyo pahali hiyo wadui hiyo ni wadui, I make sense. Na ni wadui tu ya tumashamba nini hiyo. Yeah, Belfast ananiambia I don't know anything about Iran. Yeah, that one is okay. You can come and teach me. Belfast, you can come here and we debate a little bit about that. Yeah, but I'm just trying to ask myself, that side of the world, wameumia sana aki. They can't literally, they can't like hawezi lea watoto like hiyo part. Hao watu hata wameumia hata kuliko sisi wakati wa Mau bana. Hao watu wameumia sana bwana. You know, I've been to the Gulf, eh? Yes, I've lived in the Gulf, so that is why. So ukisikia hata nikikwambia hiyo story, hao watu wanakuanga na like, I've been to Baghdad, I've been to Erbil, they call it Aril, I've been to Salhadin, uko juu kabisa. And I can tell you that hakuna wanaume, especially like Iraq. Like Iraq, there are so many single women. I remember even like the time when I was speaking with them, like telling them, like I was like telling them, you know, it's unfortunate you guys, you lost all your men. But unajua Africa tuko na wanaume wengi sana. Nasema no Africa. Sasa nikashindwa sasa hawa. No. So when you are speaking, no Africa, no. Yani even in that time, like because like you are meeting like if you go to places like Mosul, I think the ratio of men to women is kama 1:12 because unajua wanaume waliuawa karibu wote Mosul. I'm talking of Mosul. Sijui kama mnakumbuka the Battle of Mosul. Nyinyi nakaa mkumbuke story, the Battle of Mosul. Angusho hapo. Unajua bwana, Marekani wakiamua kubomba. Sijui kama kuna mtu kama hujaitembea site Marekani wamebomba. Hata hiyo Iran ukienda saa hii they flattened bwana. Wana flatten kama. Hebu nitaonesha picha kesho. How Mosul was left. Usifikiri ati saa hii ati zaini kuangusha mabomu tu kuangusha. So nitatafuta images za Mosul muone. A whole town inakuwa flattened, manyumba zote zinakuwa flattened. So you can imagine. So Mosul hakunanga wanaume. So I was like when I'm talking with people there, nikiwaambia by the way, najua Kenya tuko na wanaume wengi sana. So you people Kenya, Africa, we have so many men. You people think of how now you can start. I think sisi wa Afrika sasa tunaweza wasaidia sasa so that we can rescue your generation. Even in adversity, bana, those people are practicing racism, bana. Waliniambia bana, African no. African, maybe bring Turkey. That's what they were telling me. Bring Turkey. Yeah, bring Turkey for us. Bring Iran. Bring Portugal. Nikamwambia no, I can bring you Nigeria. They told me Nigeria, no. I can bring you Nigeria. No, wananiambia Libya, yes. Bring us Libya and Egypt. I can bring you Congo. Oh, no. Congo, no. Noma sana. The Congo. Na imagine hakuna wanaume and they are busy saying Congo, no. Hiyo saa zingine. Anyway, nyinyi sisi wa Afrika tunasemanga you don't question chakuazima, but in the Arab world they will question. So the Arab world has really suffered. That is something which that is the truth, and I don't know what can prevent the suffering from the Arab world. Those people have suffered for so long, like wameumia like for 200 years, not 200 years, for 3,000 years. Wameumia sana. It's abnormal, man. Hiyo kuumia ya Mwarabu too much. So Belfast, unaweza kuja hapa unieleze hiyo story ya Iran the way you understand it. Now that umeniambia I don't understand anything. Yeah, I also would like to be educated a little bit. Niache kukaa mjinga. Unajua Belfast saa zingine ukiona mtu ni mjinga, you are supposed to help them. Sasa wewe unataka kukaa na hiyo maarifa yako peke yako. So leo nataka tuongee story ya Ruth Odinga. Ruth Odinga amesema ODM ni one term na two term, na hizo group zote lazima wazilete pamoja. Makubwa hayo. Ruth Odinga. Ni Ruth Odinga ama ni Ruth Odinga? Ya, mimi siwezi tusi Ruth. Ya, siwezi tusi wa mama. Lakini bwana Ojinga, huyo naweza mtusi sababu huyo ni mwanaume na mwanaume hafai kuruhusu mwanaume mwenzake amtumie vibaya. So when Ojinga is being misused by Ruto, huyo lazima ni mtusi. Huyo jamaa anatumika na Ruto vibaya sana bana. Huyo jamaa anatumika na Ruto vibaya sana. So Belfast, you can come, eh? So wacha kupo. So wationa vile Belfast andika ati Njiru, kwani wewe ni mjinga ama una joke? Kuja unielimishe. Wacha kujifanya mimi tu ni mjinga kama huyo stama wenyu. Unaona huyo mnamuitanga Kiero stama. Kiel stama. Kuja unielimishe. Sawa. So Ruth Odinga naye sijui naye, okay, Ruth Odinga has really said so many things about Yeah, amesema she is not disrespecting his older brother. Yeah, I think Ruth Odinga is very young compared. I think Ruth Odinga should be in 60s or 50s. Eh? She's a young girl. Ni vile anakuanga amebeba kubeba, na sijui kubeba ilianza lini. Najua ulikuwa unatafuta vitu kama hizo, na najua namuona ni kama ni age bracket yako, na sijui Ruth alikupita aje bana? Ruth alikupita aje bana? Na wewe ndio ungekuwa general wa hizo staff. Yeah, and unasema hivyo. Yeah, hiyo drafting, that one is okay. Bana, huyo ni Prince bana. Mnataka kupeleka Prince kwa battle? Donald Trump mwenyewe kufanya battle bana. No, I don't think Baron Trump will be taken there. Baron Trump ni kama mimi, hata mimi siwezi enda military. Many people insisted to me that, oh, military inakuanga na during our time when we were going to the university. Enda military, do military. No, I couldn't. And Baron hatafanya, but watu wakianza vita, my friend, hiyo ni vita inanga huruma. Yani, vita ina huruma, so it's so tough for those people, man. Vita haina huruma, so war is very cruel, by the way. War is very cruel. That is the last thing you will want in a place. Lakini, people always want to fight. No, and people are telling me that military earns more than going to the university. So watu walikuwa wananiambia niende cadet. So I did not see the value of going to cadet. Yeah, people are encouraging. There are some people who we schooled with, they went for cadet. Tunajuanga hiyo cadet hiyo. But mi sikuona importance ya cadet. But it was very fashionable during our time. And so maybe pengine mtoto wangu ndiye atajoin military, sio mimi. Yeah, my kid will join military, maybe, probably. Niingize Stone PK. Stone PK, habari yako, umeshidaje?
Vema ndugu yangu, sijui wewe hali gani bana?
Mimi ni kama mtende. Sijui mnaitanga mtende ama ni mtende. Yeah, so I'm good. I'm doing well. So today we are still continuing. The main things which I've seen today is upinzani ni kama wameongezea mafuta ya hizo karavani zao. I've seen they will be having one caravan in Ukambani, and there will be also another caravan in Embu side. I think the Embu one will be the Gachagua. The Ukambani one will be Leader Ground and Karonzo team. So that's what I'm seeing. So I think they are still continuing with that purge. But one thing which I've come to realize is ODM issues is like they are not settling. Like how watu, what is the ultimate end? I think maneno ya ODM, because they are just confused forever. Leo we are, and that confusion has even gone to Odinga family itself, where they are accusing Ruth Odinga of disrespecting Mr. Ng'o. But Ruth has come out and said that she is not disrespecting Mr. Ng'o. she just want a 2-term and 1-term within ODM to work together. How is that? Hebu unipigie kwanza unisaidie na hii confusion ya ODM, because sasa it looks now it is now going to fever pitch.
Njiru, wacha kwanza nisalimie wale wote ambao wanatusikiza. Sijui ni wangapi, ni wangapi.
Whatever. We are 14 of us right now.
14 of us, thank you very much. Ni mzuri na kwa comment section naona Belfast huko kwani umemfanya nini? Umekasirisha Belfast mapema si atakuja na bunduki bwana.
Kazi unajua Belfast lazima tumkasirishe ili aweze
kutoa maneno, aweze kutoa. Kuna kabila moja Tanzania, if you want to punish them, ukitaka kupunish dem wao unamkasirisha, ukimkasirisha anajinyonga mara moja, ama anajipigisha chini ya kufe. Anyway, yes, hii kitu ya ODM Njiru, if you ukichukulia seriously sana itakupatia stress, because sasa imefika level ya utoto. With all due respect to everybody else, unajua wana kwa kiwedo wanamanga wana kulingi olimo ile kukoroga uji ya ujinga, you know, because I kept on saying very early that lazima we detach ourselves from ODM. ODM ilikufa siku ile baba alidai. The second death of ODM ni siku ile baba alidai. The first death is the day baba decided to work with the UDA. That was the first death. Ni kama stroke, ilipigwa na stroke moja massive wakati baba alisema ana collaborate. Then the second wave of stroke ni hii massive, hii ambayo ilimaliza. That is the same way ODM died, in my opinion and through my eyes. So what we are seeing, for those who are specialists with morgues ama mortuary, bodies zikikufa, kuna saa hizo nikaa zinaamuka, you know, kabla hazijamaliza zile dying process ya body. So inaweza saa ingine shtuka uone ni kama inataka kusimama kumbe na iwezi. So ODM is that way it is. The only person who can resurrect it, or a group of people that can hold it, but then they will not hold it as whole. Itakuwa is like the way una resuscitate, but it will still be feeble. You really have to either rebrand it, or if you don't want to rebrand it, you have to give it a lot of life. It's only Sifuna Axis. Sifuna Axis wakitoka na hiyo chembe wataenda nayo, they might be, but it will still be a baggage. My advice would be to really get it, you know, forget about it. Iende hiyo the chance that will try to survive, iende ikakae na UDA, which will be hiyo akina Uburu, yeah. And then of course nani should be able to hold the bigger mass, okay. And the bigger mass of ODM, who are the voters? The voters are with the people. Well, that I'm saying out of what I'm hearing, what I'm being told as a former member also, yeah, and the feeling of the voters. Wale wako huko chini, wako upande ya mwananchi. By the way, wako upande ya mwananchi. And this mwananchi, see individual. You know, this is the beautiful thing that is happening in Kenya today. Niliwaambia, the way it is going, and listen to everyone, Si ati wanasema Sifuna as a person. Hata Sifuna alishashika hiyo. Hata Babu Owino wameshika hiyo. Ukienda kusimama as a person, kwisha, you'll be finished. Utaachiliwa ni kama hot potato. Hapa wananchi wamefika that lazima mutembee pamoja, na ndio unaona sasa hata wataanza kwenda hizo rallies pamoja, na that is the biggest worry ya ODM na Gava. They will do everything possible to interfere with that. Coming now back directly to ODM and the family ya Raila, hizo ni rangos, watarango sana, watapigana sana because of the money involved. Okay, hiyo pesa ya chama, ODM ni kiosk, ilikuwa ni duka ya baba. Alright, iko pesa mingi sana na kuna shareholders hapo. Alright, so hiyo italeta mambo mingi, actually it will be messy. Watavurugana mpaka utasikia mambo ya kwenda kotini. That will happen. Yeah, because ask yourself, why would Oburu struggle to be there? Why is Akina Juliet so eager? And you can see the comedy. You can see, it's comedy what you are seeing. Umeona ile latest clip ya Juliet akiambia Oburu what to say nini? Ask yourself, what is it? Hiyo juice iko hapa. Okay, so basically itakuwa shida, but now my advice and suggestion is that we should detach ourselves from those hulabalus, the ODM. Let's watch from far. Let them not distract the opposition. Okay, actually Sifuna should move as if ODM was not existing. He should move and move. Of course, he has still have that title as the Secretary General because it has not been dissolved. That is okay, but he should not, kind of anaenda ni kama ana retract, kama yule bibi wa Lot alikuwa anaitwa bibi wa nani, Lot. Asiangalie nyuma, aende mbele na join those other people who are thinking of the safe, na kiburi isiwaingie, washikane pamoja na wasiingie kiburi ya wanaingizwa na watu wa media ati sijui that force and all that. We don't need forces. We need only one force against the rot, against shetani. Hatutaki kusikia ati force hii na force hii na force hii. Otherwise hiyo ndio beginning of trembling. Okay, they should not. Na tusiambiwe maneno ati young sijui generation sijui old and all that. Hiyo itakuja baadaye, after you remove the elephant in the house. Slay the dragon, and mkisha slay the dragon, serikali mko nayo, muende mkapigane huko mkisema huyu ni mzee, huyu ni young, huyu ni kama mko na what you are hunting. Thank you.
Haya, Stone PK, is that umemalizia your entry? Haya, nataka usikie the way Ruto is mocking wale watu wanatafuta power. Imagine anaenda kuomba mock mpaka kwa university.
Comrades power. Mimi nasikia kuna watu wanatafuta power.
Mimi nasikia kuna watu wanatafuta power. Can you react to that, Stone PK?
Yeah, they deserve it. They deserve the mockery because ukianza hizo ujinga, wewe hebu nikuulize. It's so annoying. It's ODM ya Oburu, the way they are behaving. It's so annoying. Inakasirisha sana.
Ebu sikiliza the way he mocked them, Nataka nimalizie yote usikie. Andi ana pretend hata ajui ni power gani. Sikia hapo.
Comrades power. Mimi nasikia kuna watu wanatafuta power. Comrades power. Sijui ni hii power yenu ama ni power ingine. Ni gani? Ni hii yenu. Comrades power. Sikizeni bwana. Comrades,
ati hata mimi sijui ni power gani wanatafuta. Can you imagine why? And Oburu is busy with this guy. Like Stony PK, how low can you fall in your life that somebody is mocking you na bado tu unaenda kulamba matako?
Ndio, sorry, it is too early nisiende kuingia nini juu watu wataanza kunini. Ningekuingiza deep ni kuanalyze some very interesting although najua wewe unaziitaga stereotypes but they are facts. Kenya hakuna stereotypes. Ni facts. Ningekupatia facts why Oburu is behaving the way he's behaving. Oburu, Junet, Wanga, those the few akina Dadi Mbandi. If you let me give you a hint. Can you imagine put hao watu waite kwa workshop kwa class? Oburu wako hapo, Wanga, anaitwa nani huyo, Mbandi, Atadi, au the so called experts ama the so called ODM hiyo sasa ina claim iko kwa government, alafu wapatie kila mtu dakika give them 10 minutes watoe speeches. Wewe ukae tu hata usiulize, kila mtu aongee way forward, the reason why they should be they should be in government and all that. Kila mtu akupe speech ya dakika 10 ule ataweza. Can you imagine what you will hear? You already know what you will hear. What at an intellectual level, what would you classify that? Hey, I know you know. You will have the adjectives to describe that. If you can picture, Mbandi aongee, Wanga aongee, nani huyu jamaa wa energy Wandai aongee, Atadi aongee, alafu mwisho Jacom phase 2 aongee, aanze na hiyo. Unajua sisi nataka power. You can imagine hiyo itakuwa one of the best idiotic comedy clones. Itakuwa ni a play of clones. You know, clowns of the plane. Yeah, you'll come out. That is the real core of what ODM Winnie Oburu is about. And that you can imagine that if they were to form a government. In fact, let me tell you, Njiro, one thing that Kenya, I came to realize, it is so nice that ODM never got into power. Njiro would be in a worse situation than what we are having with UDA. Najua ya UDA ni ruthless, na rude na all that. Ya ODM ingekuwa ujinga ni mingi na kiburi ni mingi, alright, and superiority complex ni mingi. It would have been terrible. So I'm happy that they never got it, that somebody else will get it. Yeah. And wataingizwa vidole vizuri sana na Ruto. Ruto ashamalizana na ODM Kijiro. Ruto alimalizana na ODM. Aliwamaliza akakanyanga akamaliza. Amewapatia mambo yake vile mtu anapeanga dawa. Watu wanaanza kujisifu. Ati stadium itaitwa Raila. Wanafurahia kama watoto wamepewa peremende, lollipop. Raila anapewa state burial. Ni mnaenda kusherehekea. Mtu asha dedi. Hata akidedi hivyo angepewa nini, apewe ile hiyo ukubwa, ambiwe sasa wewe ndio president wa Kenya. Na amededi. What value was that? Ati watu wanasema he was honored. If you are not honored when you are alive, unakuwa honored when you are dead. It's nonsense. And that's why Ruto is so yani enyewe huyu mtu nafikiria wanakulanga meza moja na shetani. Ni brother shetani yani. Huyu ni sadist wa ajabu. He's dancing and enjoying. Can you imagine anasikia watu wanataka power? What kind of a mockery is that? Zero. Hiyo ni ile ukisikia mtu alikumoki hivyo unamshukira. Kikwetu tunasema ngozizokera mundu. Nakuja mpaka kwako. Nakwambia Njiru lidadi ulikuwa na enjoy hivyo. I told you Njiru hizi siasa hapo mbeleni za kina buda zetu. Ilikuwa uwezi ni moki hivyo. Nakuja mpaka kwako. Ama tukikutana kwa hoteli tunamalizia huko. You can't do that. That is demeanor of the highest order. Back to you bana.
Haya, ni sawa. So bwana Kipril, wacha ni kuingiza na hiyo how low can ODM be? Ruto mocks them even mbele ya watoto. Hawa ni pa wengine wanataka kama ni yenyu.
No, it's I think what had happened is negotiations. Walienda State House, walikuwa na kifua. Do you know, if you think about it, they had the upper hand, ODM. We're talking about
Wacha tabia mbaya. Wewe umetoka kabila inaheshimu watu sana. Huwezi kuingia mahali ukose kusalimia watu. You know your culture very well. Huwezi kuingia na usalimia watu bwana. Utaambiwa hey ngetai. Hata utaitwa ngetai na wewe umetaiwa.
Where's to be okay to bana. You know how angry we get to that. Hiyo ni kutugonga bana stone. Sasa this guy has stayed with us for too long, amekuwa kipsigi sasa. Kwera. You stayed with us for too long.
Unakumbuka vile mtu ufukuzwa nje unaitwa hivyo alafu toka ukuje vizuri.
There are two words there you can say. Weri means like you boy. You know, weri, it's like, it's not as bad as ngetai. Ngetai means uncircumcised. But weri means a you boy. You boy. This guy knows that shit. Stone kwenda huko. You know too much about us. Your summary about Ngeno was brilliant. I was listening to it. Yeah. So salam, tunatuma salam. Nathan Jeru. Naona mtu yake ana aliangusha bomb kwa supreme leader. But anyway, while Jeru is distracted, I'll talk about the State House thing. Stone. So what happened is, I think there was a upper hand ODM came with when it was full jacket. Unajua ile sele mko pamoja, when Raila could ona host wako, mtu mmoja akiingia na toroka. I wish Njiru knew how distracting that was. So what happens is, Stone, this is my own analysis and you can help me with this, is when Raila had ODM, he would play mechanics, and Gaucho actually revealed what Raila had been doing for many years. He would send a bunch of people to talk one thing, and another bunch of people to talk another one, and then a third force, maybe fourth or fifth, whatever it is, to talk as if people are fighting amongst themselves or against a particular vision of ODM, against another particular vision of ODM. But then in the end, he'd pick the one that is most popular. He'd say, this is the one people want. So that is why ODM always seemed different but same. It was kind of political science, and I think Raila got that from Daniel Toretish Moi, mwenye alikuwa anajiita professor of politics. Now, when Mzee died, hakuachia anyone that playbook. He did not leave anyone with that playbook. So, not leaving anyone with that playbook, these people started splitting because Mzee was kind of losing power from ODM. This is why the Mbadis, the Johos, the Paranyas, they're the ones who are like, hey boss, Ni aje ulikuwa umeenda handshake mkatuacha. And do not believe that Raila got nothing within Uhuru Raila handshake. That is a pipe dream. You guys mnajidanganya, and I think I lied to myself about that because I spoke to one of my very cross relatives that are in those kind of circles. Like, Raila used to get tenders, and he used to be kind of the connector towards the Stone. Let's just not pretend here, towards Luo Nyanza people. Alikuwa na connect to tenders, so you'd say you have to go speak to Raila before you could speak to the Uhuru government to get any, tenderpreneurship. And as usual, Uhuru gets his cut, then Raila gets his cut, na story naisha. If you get where I'm driving there. So these other guys are like, hey boss, ulienda huko peke yako, kenda kukula peke yake. Yes, Raila went to eat alone. I know some of you are saying, oh, do not do not respect. This is the world of the living. The old man is dead. We can respect his legacy, but we can talk the way we want. He's gone. So these guys went to State House mkono mtupu. When I say mkono mtupu, Ruto already knows the ODM he's about to acquire is a shell. It's basically what negotiating power do Akina Junet have? What do Akina Wanga got? What do Akina Oburu have? What do they have? Ruto is basically telling them, hata mkiwa kwa hiyo collision na mimi, it's just basically, it means I can do whatever I want. It means I can compete against you. We're in alliance, but I will compete against you. He's done that to Ford Kenya. He's swallowed the ANC. He's telling them blatantly that I do not care if Western is supposed to be a stronghold of ODM, as Raila had claimed. Why are UDA candidates in Western? So Akina Junet, Akina Wanga, the parliamentary whatever, walienda huko na matumbo zao kasema, we want deputy president, we want these seats, we want this, we want to keep the finance. So there's panic mode. Ruto akaambia sasa, you think you're going to get all these things? Ruto has basically told them, in negotiation, what do you call it? Lowball them. When he was courting them, I think Stone will explain this about courting. You can promise the world, but once the marriage starts, Paul, you're not going to go for vacation. You're not going to have that 5-star luxury that you have been dreaming about. Amekot msichana vizuri, lakini sasa there's nothing that is going to happen. So that is why they rushed in to say, oh, we're not going to, we want to keep all the MPs of ODM intact, all the Senate seats, all the governorship, whatever it is. But now this was the parliamentary guys talking. Now, that is basically saying that Ruto's counteract towards the deal was, we are taking over some seats around Nyanza. We're going to field a candidate, we're going to zone it. And when we zone it, some of these candidates who are going to come in are coming in as UDA. Now, ODM is caught between a rock and a hard place. Because even during the negotiation, I think Ruto has told them, hata kama mmekataa that we're not going to zone this place, I'm still going to place my candidates in your regions. I'm still going to place my candidates because you guys have nothing. Sifuna ameonesha power. If you cannot quell that noise from Sifuna, if you cannot reprimand him and aendi kunyamaza, And already he's already declaring himself president for quietly. He didn't say it in so many words that he would run for president if he had the funding. He did say in so many words, but I think he's also stating he wants to go for a presidential candidacy. So it's like the Wanga, the Oburu, that's why you can see when they talk with a lot of anger, they talk with a lot of, they're pissed off. They're actually angry that there's a section of ODM that wants to be with the people. So that is why you can see that that faction does not have an upper hand. They seem, I'll tell you the truth. By the time Ruto is finished with them, akishamalizana now, they will be getting PS jobs, no CS jobs. These greedy guys, at the kitty deputy was how completely forget about it. When you hear him mocking them, power, what are you talking about? Power? You've got nothing. You know what I mean? They have nothing. Jerusalem, they have nothing. I want to what? They have Luo Nyanza. Some sycophants somewhere there in Luo Nyanza. Let's be generous. They have half of Luo Nyanza. This is me being generous. So they're coming to the table with nothing. I don't know what Sifuna is going to do. But time is running out because he did some threats about I don't know which ultimatum they had about what do you call it, the NADCO report. I don't know where it's going to go, but you know how useless this anything that is done in parliament is not. You know, they gave away their power completely, and Raila is the one who made it even worse. Huh? So they have a bit of breathing room right now until this Eid thing goes. But I agree with you. Hii kitu ya kufanya breaks because of religious functions or religious whatever is stupid. This momentum should have continued. But still, the people are still with Sisi Sifuna. I'm talking about the ODM function. So unless they flip Sifuna, they're running around. They have nothing to negotiate. I'm sorry. I want to negotiate. And that is what I see. That's why I saw today. That's why they look like paka yenye imenyeshewa. If ever seen a cat being rained on. Inataka kuingia kwa nyumba, unaifungulia dirisha, inaingia, it's just wet, sickly, unajua itaki yenye maji. That is how they are right now. Their rallies are an embarrassment. There's no energy, even no matter how you can AI it, you can't. The difference between them and Ruto, that is why Ruto has the upper hand. Ruto will talk through being booed, he'll talk through anything, and then he will actually hire people to be close to the microphone to shout good stuff about him, but in the background he's being heckled. Like they don't even have the mechanics to do that. ODM do not, like right now, yeah? This is not the time to talk about power to the people. People are starving. Like campaign comes with hope. Even Ruto, if you notice something about Ruto, even Ruto's what do you call it? Ruto's approach towards running his campaign. What is it? What is it compared to the Oburu, Dinga, and Wanga's messages? We know Ruto is a liar, but let's just compare the message. For those who are idiots, watasema, for those who listen to him are idiots, that's what I'm saying. Atasema hope about Singapore, ataongea vitu kama, oh, we need to get affordable housing, we need to bring the tax down. We need to make sure that everybody is comfortable. Like if you hear Ruto's messaging towards his campaign, it's still about hope. Like you can see he's trying to put the brainwash about hope. But then when you hear the Wanga wing, the Buru wing, the Badis, the Piondaya, the Njos, what is their messaging? Even compared to Ruto, what is the messaging? Their messaging is about power. I want the deputy president seat. We hawezi guza hizi viti nne. We want the Luo Nyanza region to be powerful. Even with the false, even when I have false with Gashagwa, yeah, Gashagwa still also gives hope to the people. The hope for the people is one term. Even when he sometimes veers towards regional politics about the people of the mountain, it's still that one term thing. Huyo mtu ametunyanyasa, huyu mtu amefanya hivi, he'll do the false of Ruto. There's that messaging of hope when you hear Gachagua. You hear hope. You hear that. When you hear Sifuna's speeches, hope. When you hear the Tawe movement, the same thing. Tawe. We don't want Kabila. Tawe. We don't want this Tawe. There is kind of a messaging that would rile the crowd, that would resonate with the voters. But the Wanga group, these other people, it's either talking in the Luo, doing some lewd actions, lewd conversations. This is the same as the one of, that's why Ruto stopped hanging out with him. Akina Farouk talking some sexual innuendos, and there's this, you can have a sense that there's childishness in these other people. You can see Farouk talking about what's her name, Sabina Chege. You can see Millicent. You can actually start looking at, you can separate the people. I'm also including Ruto in this. Hata na mauongo zake, that's how he lied to the people in the population. His messaging is different from these other idiots. If you hear Martha Karua, the same too. There's messaging about hope. There's messaging about trying to fix the system, trying to get rid of those things. Unaona ana nataka kuanza vitu sasa hapo Njeru. I wish Njeru would pay attention. What do you think, Stone? Mkenya Mkora comes after.
Yeah, ni sawa. So Mkenya Mkora, can you react kwa and keep real? I've not heard you reacting to the fury in Odinga family, where Ruth Odinga is being said she is disrespecting Mr. Ng'o. Hiyo familia itamalizia wapi?
I avoided talking about family because we're going back to dynasty talk again. We are going back to the Ruto family also going into politics, the Ruto family doing this. And remember, Ruth Odinga is decades younger than the older brothers. You know that. She's like their daughter. But for her, she is fence sitting. She hasn't openly done it like Orengo, Sifuna, and Babu Owingo. She's fence sitting. So the podcast you're listening to are just mere rumors, where she says she's planning to get rid of her brother. It's not written into stone. That one, I'll tell you, is fence sitting until you see a clear line. Because I watched her interview with Citizen. She's still saying, oh, there's a faction that they need to talk about joining the government and doing a coalition with Ruto, and then like it's clear cut. Let's Njiru, let's be frank. What are we? Why is she justifying negotiating with Ruto? We need to have a negotiation. Why? Why is she still fence sitting? So for me, the Raila family or the Odinga family, I'm not so much into it. There was Winnie coming into Kibera or Langata nonsense nini. It is what wengine wamezaa watoto. Do you understand what I'm saying? Other people have bred people that can lead. This nonsense of following family is garbage. It's like what the Americans did with the Bush family. We had the Clinton spouses. We had the Kennedys. That like there is. I hate it. I'll be honest. I hate it. I hate when you do family kind of dynasty garbage into this, and there's a lot of that in Kenya. But the Kenyatta family, it doesn't make sense to me. So at the moment, I know you're asking it because she's in the pillar of power, she's in the neck. But I'll tell you, she's a fence sitter. Don't look at her. I'm sorry. Absolute fence sitter. She kubali to be sidelined to run for governor of Kisumu. She would have been the first governor of Kisumu. Yeah, also I know Annie is talking about Winnie Odinga. Winnie Odinga needs to start talking. She needs to be bold, not writing Instagram posts with surreal questions, surreal messaging. If she's serious about running, yeah, if indeed these people want her to be like her father, she needs to stand her ground. You need to stand your ground. And I think she's just also being remote controlled by that woman. What's her name? The mother, Aida. Aida still hangs out with Gaucho. What does that tell you? That for years, this woman has been controlling Raila Odinga in the decisions that he makes out of greeds of Aida. Aida's greed. And I've been saying that for years, that is the woman who's been destroying Mulolongo and Raila. I'm sorry to say that. Aida is a very, very, there's rumors that she's the one that has been steering the husband the wrong direction. Oh, mwezi blame mama, oh, nini, oh, sijui what. Don't put the nonsense. Yeah. Back to you, Jiru.
Okay, sawa, wacha tusikie Mkenya Mkora. Mkenya Mkora and I don't like this name. You are a better human being than this, unless you are Mkora in reality. Go ahead.
No, I do this for what you call a face mask. Some people that actually know me personally, like Kip and all of you, anyways. But Kip knows me personally.
No, what is a rich man, brother? Ukiona nyumba yake ukambani utasweat, bana.
Come on, we're in live TV, bro. Stop.
Saying you personally see your house.
That nonsense. So, but I don't know where to start. And Jiro, let me start with your question. You know what? Before you ask me the question that you had asked, because I have I really want to say something about that. Let me just answer, or actually not answer, but move to the same side that my brother here, Mr. Kip, what he was saying of family legacy. This doesn't even happen to just the Railas and everything. Have you guys really experienced this and looked back and understood that if an MP or an MCA dies or something happens to them, that then guys are campaigning for either their daughter or their son or something of the sort, that this thing has to live in the family? What is this that has to live in the family in a country that is as big as Kenya? If your father was a politician, please, if you become a politician, yes, do it in your own pavilion. But don't come and tell us babangu alikuwa sijui nini nini. It's the same thing that is happening with ODM, and that's why people are like, Oburu Odinga was the I mean, the senator, and they got there by the value of the brother just because they were related to the brother. Most of them, even Winnie, even, well, at least Ruth hakukimbizana na hiyo kitu sana, but even Winnie, she's in EACC. I mean, East African whatever parliament, which never does anything, has never done anything, has never decided anything. We don't even know what the heck they do. Forgive me for my language, but we cannot get that meme. Okay, Njiru akikufa sasa lazima mtoto wake ndio achukue then next. This happens not even in these big seats, even in the small seats, hata za kijiji like MCA. There, ati babako amekufa so wewe huu ndio the heir. We're not running a monarchy in our country. If you're good at what you're doing and you're a good leader, then do your thing. Let your kids do whatever they do. Let them go wherever they are. They don't really have to follow your ground or whatever you've been doing. So like Oburu is there courtesy of his younger brother. If Raila was not as prominent and as feisty as he was in the Kenyan politics and in the world politics, to a point that he can get a charter flight to go get him from India, which has never happened. But if he wasn't, Oburu Odinga would never even have that seat. He would never even have it. The guy cannot even speak nowadays. I mean, I was watching some things that he was talking on the podium. He doesn't know what to say. He's murmuring, doing whatever. You know, Raila, even if he murmurs, he knew how to come back. And on a funny note, Nani, I don't know, Kip, you saw what your auntie did the other day. She couldn't even read a statement. Wavinyandeti. She couldn't even read her own statement. So, what kind of politics are we doing here? I mean, are we doing a politics of a family, or do we have a monarchy? That's one thing I want people to start from, that point that Kip was coming from. We cannot do a family politics. This is not a monarchy. And just because you're my brother, you don't have to work where I used to work. Even if you don't know how it's been worked, just because you come in with my name. That's the thing that Kenyans need to stop. And most of African countries, they do that you hear somebody's son is the one that come in. Muhonzi came in because of the father. Sijui Nini is the father. Or Sijui Nani was the father. Or was the mother. And who's Aida Odinga? That was the wife of Raila Odinga. That's it. What qualifications does she has to be given an ambassadorial seat? Now, the funny thing, which one is the latest? Nani huyu Joongeno. You will hear sasa mtoto yake ndio is the one that is campaigning, the one that needs to be there. I mean, what kind of nonsense is that? I just don't get it, and I apologize.
Ngeno's kids are too young. He married late.
Yeah, if he had married early, he probably we would be talking about, I don't know, I don't know his name's kid, but we'll be talking about Joan Ngeno or something, and then he would win or she would win, whichever it is. That's why I say that it's nonsense. Raila did what he did. I don't even believe why his kids are still in government. What are they doing in government? Kalonzo did his thing. Why is his kid in East Africa's parliament, which is a dormant nonsense that we don't even know what it does? So you cannot be given a trophy because your dad was, and now you are the one. You're not your dad. You're not your mother. You're not your uncle. You're not whatever. That's to answer Kip's question on that. Even me, I don't like the fact that the Odingas now are coming in. let them sit back and go back to what they used to do. These guys were doing whatever they were doing, wherever school you went to, you do your thing. Your dad is your dad, we respect. Your husband is your husband, we respect. Go on. That was his career. Just because I was a doctor, you cannot be a doctor. Okay? Anyway. Njiru, kuna swali ulikuwa umeniuliza, ulikuwa unataka ni react what it is, because keep amenisumbua na hiyo kitu, because it's a very motive thing that we need to talk. If our kids need to stay in the political field just because we are politicians. Njiru amenda, alikuwa ameniuliza nini?
I
He
don't
had asked me
remember.
something.
I don't. It was to do with the ODM faction. I know it's Njeru, zima your camera. You really distract us when you jump in and out. Just switch it off if you're not going to sit in the studio.
But even if he switches it out, he just, I mean, if he's not there, he doesn't talk. He just disappears. That's him.
So he had asked about, okay, we are seeing the Oburu, Wanga, and all those people have told Ruto indirectly through the parliamentary committee for ODM that they are retaining their seats. They are not negotiating about zoning with UDA. So meaning that Ruto had requested them to be zoned out in some areas in Nyanza and some places in Mombasa and whatever, strongholds of, so-called strongholds of ODM. And I think they panicked. So Ruto was doing early elimination. So even after he picks his MPs and he decides to steal the election, impeachment would be impossible. Yeah.
And even though I don't like that other function, I think that's a good thing. They should stand their ground. I mean, for me, I think that's a good thing for them. But
Then,
not
sorry. Then Ruto mocked them and said, "What is this power? I'm not after power, gani." So he mocked them in front of kids.
That's good. Let him keep on doing that, so that even them, they become orphans, because now there's this other side that is. Oh, and I remember, because I was listening to you as I was coming in, because you were saying there's a message I wrote you there. I told you it's vice versa. It's not that the ODM wants to stay or wants people. It's the people who are talking about, and I'm talking about ODM function too, not the power people. I'm talking about the other function. It's the people that actually want to be there. Now, I was coming to my ground. I was really mesmerized watching the parliament today. There's this bill that they're trying to pass here. And I don't know if you watched the parliament today. And they were talking about, and Dindi Nyoro actually came in hot and blazing to explain to people what it is all about. So they're trying to do this privatization thing, 10%. Well, they're saying 10%. We don't even believe that, because we've looked at the numbers and it doesn't work. And why wouldn't try to privatize and try to say that you're going to privatize something so that it can be on infrastructure? I'm out straight asking them, which infrastructure have we done without these PPA things that you're telling us? You're just looking for money, and the actually elaborated it. And sometimes, even though I've never liked Dini Nyoro, I like when he talks, because those numbers, and numbers never lie. And that's the one thing I like when I hear him now that he's on the other side. Even though he has not decided where he is exactly, but we know he's Mwananchi side. He's coming out with numbers. There's nothing that I love like numbers, because they never lie. And when you're seeing this, you can start seeing people really not wanting to comment on that so much, like in the parliament. You see what Farah Malim, I think he was the one doing the speakership or what, but trying to say that well, Mandera, we don't have anything. First of all, we just went through that battle of areas that complain to be marginalized, yes, yet getting the same kind of funding. So the biggest question I have for you guys before Ninyamaze, and then maybe Njiro can tell me the real question that he had asked, because that's Amerudi. Is this thing all about money? And when it's about money, is it about for myself or is it your area? Because you've been earning this kind of cash, but then you're here in parliament, you're being given the facts of how much people are borrowing and how much this selling things so that you can make infrastructure. Who has never made infrastructure? Kenya, you can drive anywhere. We've been doing this with this funding to open. What is this funding that now is happening? Never happened in Moi's time, never happened in Kenyatta's time, never happened in Kibaki's time, never happened in Uhuru's time. What is funding that is always being passed in government? And that's why I like my Kadhiani member. He said, "Hii pesa nataka tu because you want to save your for your elections so that you have money to dish out." And he got really hit by Kimani Chungwa, and I think there was another person there. I was watching the day to day about that funding that they want to bring, and I don't know if anybody else. I sometimes watch that because I can understand. I would have had names. I can understand these guys where exactly they are coming from. So people opposed. I believe it's gonna pass. And it's I don't know how many billion. I think it was like 700 and something billion. And it's a parastatal sellout. Guys, please. I mean, for how long are we gonna be lied? Ebu, Njiru kuna swali ulikuwa umeniuliza maza.
Nilikuwa nimekuuliza story ya ODM. Where we are now seeing fractures inside Odinga family. Where now Ruth Odinga is saying she is being accused that she is disrespecting the older brother, Mr. Ng'o, while she is calling for the two factions to sit together.
So I think I've already...
Why is Odinga family having two fronts this time round?
No, I think I've already answered that, but just to come on Geskiza, nime answer that. But let me tell you, have you ever seen a family that your dad passes away and then kuna ng'ombe tatu zimebaki na mko hapo hivyo nyi wote, and you know, some uncle from somewhere comes to come in boma yenyu awapange venye mnafaa kupangika and all that. This thing does not just happen in our local families, it happens everywhere. So would you want me, after my dad passes, would you want me to just allow someone else to come from out there and my uncle to come from out there and start telling me what to do? If actually we've never even been in good terms, maybe, because you never know the internal family affairs. But the thing is that everybody has their own way. Kuna watu after the mwenye alikuwa ameshikilia familia ameenda, family inazoroteka, unaona kila ameenda, wengine wanaanza kupigana mapanga, sijui no, hii ni shamba, sijui tunafaa kugawana hivi na nini, unless you come from a very a family that is really well oriented. These things have, I mean, how many times do we hear family feud? But the thing here is that Winnie and Ruth, remember that's an auntie and a niece, they have their minds. They probably dealt with Raila more than Oburu. Oburu was just brought there to any brother yake. Oh, just come, itakuwa Odinga family nini. Raila did not be, Raila kuletwa kwa hii ODM. Hata ODM yendo alijenga. Raila alitoka Ford because alikosana na baba yake. Akamwambia, dadi, mimi siendi hivi. mimi naenda hivi. Remember that was Ford. Na akaenda akajitafutia zake. He's the first person, and I'm so glad of that, the deputy governor that actually resigned, Wawanga. So there comes a time that you just go venture for yourself. Kip would tell you this without saying. He knows me very well. You go venture for yourself. So these kids, you're not gonna come there to do just because my dad did everything. So now I'm looking up to you again. No, it will be tukubaliane ama iko hivi. But then they are political. I'm just talking in a kind of setting. You've seen these fights every single time that a person dies. That's why you see hata watoto wanatokea na hata mkuwa mnajua kulikuwa na mtoto mwingine mahali. Why? Because they want to get something of it. So when you come in to your brother's thing, alikuwa kwa nyumba yako, brother yako ameenda, and now you want to tell the kids what to do. You want to tell them to sleep on a white blanket and they used to sleep on a black blanket. I mean, do you think all of them are going to agree with you?
Aya, mtaniruhusu kuna nimeona Mbudi hapo anauliza hiyo story ya 5 trillion, kuna hiyo video ya 5 trillion, lakini kuna video nimekutana nayo nataka kuonesha, sababu as we speak it is something I want us to do comparative analysis. So nipe tu dakika moja as we speak.
And as you do that, yani Raila akaamka mahali yuko saizi anaweza kuwa mkali. Why?
This world is for the living. I'm sorry to say that. This world is for the living.
Haya, nimepata video. Nataka musikilize. Nataka musikilize tofauti ya nitaleta badi, lakini I want you to react to this. Stone PK. I want you to react to this. Nataka you compare this guy who is from Tanzania na Kanyare.
Here's how you can take advantage of IUL to build generational wealth. Step 1. Purchase.
Mimi nasaidia watu kwa namna ya rohoni. Wanasiasa wanasaidia watu kwa namna ya maendeleo. Watu wale ambao mimi nawasaidia wafunguke, ndio wale nawaombea wapate viwanja. Watapata wapi viwanja serikali isipopima viwanja? Watu wale nawaombea, huyu ana shida kabisa, anasema nyumba yake haina umeme. Kwa hiyo mimi namuombea, lakini lazima kuwe na component ya kiserikali ambayo inatoa umeme kwa bei nafuu. Na ndio maana mtu alikwambia tenga siasa na dini, anakudanganya, zinakorogwa pamoja hivi. Anakudanganya, ni mwongo, zinakorogwa pamoja. Na ndio maana umeona jana kiongozi wetu wa kidini ambaye ni mkuu wa taifa la Iran, Ayatollah Khomeini, amepigwa na kombora la Marekani. Ni kiongozi wa dini wa Mashia, kiongozi wa dini, lakini pia ni mkuu wa taifa. Lakini ndio kiongozi wa Mashia duniani, ni mkuu wao, lakini pia ni mkuu wa taifa la Iran. Alafu mtu anakuambia usiangalie na siasa, anakudanganya. Angalia nchi inaitwa Roma. Rais wa Roma anaitwa Papa, ndio rais wa nchi inaitwa Roma, inaitwa Vatican. Ni rais ambaye pia ndio mkuu wa kanisa letu Katoliki duniani. Ni rais pia, lakini mkuu wa kanisa Katoliki duniani, kanisa letu pendwa, lakini rais anaendesha kanisa, anaendesha na nchi inaitwa Vatican. Alafu mtu anakuambia, anataka kunyonyenyea, anakuambia bwana, unajua anachanganya siasa na dini. Mwambie tunakoroga pamoja. Sio kuchanganya, tukoroga kwa pamoja. Niulize kwa nini? Mimi nakuombea kwa jina la Yesu uwe mzima. Lakini uzima unaweza kupatikana kwa madaktari hospitalini. ina maana dawa lazima ziwepo. Sasa mimi nikikuombea alafu dawa hazipo, mimi nitakuwa nimeangukia pua. Dawa si hazipo, lazima kuwe na combination ya anayeomba na anayetoa dawa. Mimi nikiomba kwamba jamani, wale walioonewa magerezani, waliosingiziwa kesi watoke, mpaka iwepo mamlaka yenye kusema umeachiwa gerezani, mamlaka ya kiserikali. Unanielewa ninachosema? Kwa hiyo these are combined together. Spiritual justice and physical justice are combined together. Yale ile haki inayotoka kwa Mungu na ile haki ya kimwili vimeungana pamoja, na tunakaribia kuvipata sasa. Mtu apige makelele aseme haleluya. You see, mimi ni daktari wa philosophy. Nikwambie jambo moja. Ukitaka uvae vizuri, wangapi wanapenda kuvaa vizuri? Hata mimi napenda kuvaa vizuri. Maana yake waziri wa viwanda na biashara atengeneze mazingira mazuri ili kusudi nguo zinazokuja ziwe nzuri, zenye uwezo wa kununulika. Lakini waziri wa viwanda na biashara ni mwanasiasa. Ina maana kuvaa vizuri kwangu kunamtegemea mwanasiasa. Ili mabati yawe bei na nafuu, lazima Wizara ya Fedha iwe na policy nzuri za kufanya mabati yauzwe kwa bei nafuu, ili kila mtu aweze kujenga nyumba. Hata kama nikikuombea mimi mpaka nikatoa moshi mdomoni, kama mabati hayapo utawezeka na mikono? Wewe umenielewa? Wewe umenielewa? Nikikuombea Baba, katika jina la Yesu, naomba shamba lako upande na uvune, lazima mbolea ziwepo. Anayeingiza mbolea sio Askofu Gwajima, ni serikali, lazima iingize mbolea. Kwa hiyo mimi naweza kucheza na anaingiza mbolea kwenye ulimwengu wa roho, nikamwambia aliyekataa kuwaingizia mbolea wananchi, kaba shingo yake, wananchi wapate mbolea. I work on a spiritual basis. Kwa hiyo they are combined together.
Please, let me be the first person to comment on that one. Please, because I gotta go.
Aya, you can react.
That's what you call a parasite. I'm sorry to say, religion is just a parasite. I mean, on a serious note, like him is talking about vitu zingine. I know the Vatican and everything. I'm a Catholic, born, raised Catholic. Yes, I understand they have the Vatican. But the thing is that everything that this guy is talking about is just parasitic. I mean, parasitic. It means that if the government was not there and the people were not there, then they're useless. And so this, I don't know why you played that, because this is why I don't like talking about religion, because I see so much stuff that is happening with religion. Now, religion and politics. I mean, how do you combine the same thing?
The reason why nimecheza ni he is one of the closest pastor who I have felt his doctrine is coming closer to reality in life. If you listen to that guy, na your message, but it's a whole message yake ya Sunday. He preached that there's a bigger message yake he preached Sunday. But I can tell you, Gwajima is a very realistic pastor. You cannot compare him to people.
No,
like
I agree with you. Ni kama Pastor Kuri akienda Churchill show aende aseme mimi si, I'm not a bishop, mimi nataka pesa yenyu. You know, so it's exactly what you're talking about. So it's kind of like a comical thing when it comes to religion saa zingine, because how can you say that mi nakuombea lakini si mi nakutibu, unaenda kutibiwa na daktari? I mean, at this age and time, so kwa nini ulikuwa unaniombea? So ungeacha tu niende kwa daktari at the same time. I mean, how many people are you seeing wanaenda huko mpaka wanakomboa I don't want to get into religion, but watu wangapi unaonanga wanaenda wanakomboa watu, wanawaambia fanye hivi, kaa hivi, fanye hivi. We've seen the Kanyaris who go and get hydrogen peroxide and come and tell you that hiyo ni damu imetoka nini nini and all that, and then you come and find out that it's just a lie. And then you see all these politicians bringing the money that actually is supposed to be going for development. I mean, for development of the country, in doing something that is serious. You know, Jiro, if I have one shilling and I want to give it somewhere, I'd rather give it kwa mtu mwenye naona anateseka vizuri kabisa than give it to church. And I'm sorry, I am a church member. I believe in God, but I believe in my God through my way. But the thing that these guys do, umeambiwa saizi, they depend on them. So what if there was no politics and we had this church? And that's, I know I'm opening a can of worms, but what if we never had politics? What if kila mtu alikuwa anakaa kivyake? Were they going to be the politicians of the day? Because they speak much with their coarse voice and everything, and want to believe that you can do everything on a Sunday or on a Saturday if you are the Seventh-day Adventist. But at the end of the day, they wait for you to go for a whole week, 5 or 7 days, depending on what it is. Anyway, it equates to 7 days, depending on what you are. Then you come on the seventh day. That seventh day, after you've finished working, then they're there waiting for you to say to give me something, and I'm gonna tell you so much stories. And in fact, I'm not gonna be religious as much, but a little bit. That's why sometimes I like Catholic. 30 minutes tumemalizana, kwaheri, wakutoa toe. 30 minutes mass done. Kelele ingine hii ingine I need my 30 minutes hapo, and I'm out of there. Me, if I go to Protestant churches, I just go for the music, because it uplifts you. It makes you just uplifted. But religion, sumona, parasite. It's kind of like these animals that go to warthogs, and warthog just slips down. I don't know what they're called. That just slips down because they want their whatever is in our scratch, inafanya our scratch in our, they want them the ticks zitoke. Why buffaloes allow some birds to stick on their neck and walk with them, and they don't even fight it? Why? Because they know they are helping them. If you remember your biology vizuri, there's 3 ways: either parasite, watu wataniambia what it was. My biology is going away. Like, there's 3 ways of dependency. So he's telling you right on your face that he's parasitic to politics. And you're here, as educated as we are. We are here just listening to that, and then we're gonna go back to that church tomorrow, and then atakwambia toa fungu la 10. If you had if you're earning 100 million, then you have to give them what? 1 million, 10 million or whatever, what 10% is all about. I don't believe in religion anymore. There's no religion anymore. My friend, hata afadhali hiyo ya Pope, hiyo yenye anafanya hiyo country yake yenye imeitwa hapo hivyo, whatever it's called, Vatican. Well, not whatever, because that's my church. Eri Pope hawaulizi chochote, but akona mashule huku na huku, na serikali inawapiga, because the Catholic churches, people who went to Catholic schools, they know those schools are there, and they're really well set up. I went to Catholic schools all my primary school, and I knew that it was there. We were set up, and everything was there. Some of these preachers here, and those pastors, I mean, the priests don't come in there fighting nini. If you find a good priest, and they have all Christian schools doing good. Most of the people here, even Lenana is a is a Catholic school that actually was put there, and people knew that's a school. You go to the chapel in the morning, you do your thing 30 minutes, you go back to your dormitory, you go back and eat your breakfast. You get to school and everything. How many seminary schools are there in Kenya? I can count for you if you count for you. St. Charles Lwanga, Popol, and so many. But these are the people who are coming in. Na sauti very coarse. And the more you have a coarse voice, the more you need to be listened. But all you're doing is extorting your congregants. So I and you that you're a parasite, that if there's no politics there. I don't know how you feel about this. I know ningependa kusikia Stone PK, keep amepotea, lakini I'll be back anyways. I need to get home to Panga so that we can have a conversation. I was waiting for somebody and they're here. So maybe I'll be listening to you guys in the back. Cool, Njiro? We good?
Haya, ni sawa.
All right, thank you, sir.
Wacha nirudi kwa Badi aseme hiyo story yake.
Thank you for that report, Ian Keitani. Well, tonight, Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi is on the spot after admitting to misleading Kenyans over the controversial 5 trillion shillings infrastructure fund in official court papers filed recently at the Milimani High Court. The Treasury boss saw an affidavit confessing that he misled Kenyans on the establishment of the National Infrastructure Fund. Appearing before a joint sitting of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning on Public Debt and Privatization, Mbadi made a declaration that will prove false. And as KTN's Daniel Kariuki now tells us, the National Infrastructure Fund bill has been introduced for the second reading in the National Assembly.
Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi, while appearing before a joint sitting of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning and the Select Committee on Public Debt and Privatization in January, said that the National Infrastructure Fund had already been established as a limited liability company.
We believe that by investing in infrastructure, we'll even give intergenerational equity to future generations by being used for their, when that time comes, they will still use it. But on sovereign wealth fund, it's even more explicit, and that is with you. The bill is with you in the National Assembly.
It's now emerging weeks later through a supplementary affidavit filed last week at the High Court that Mbadi misled the country. Paragraph 5 of Mbadi's sworn affidavit says, and I quote, "During the said proceedings, I mistakenly informed the committee that the National Infrastructure Fund had already been established as a limited liability company," end of quote. The Treasury CS sought to explain why he misled the country by blaming his own technical officers for the falsehood. He told the court that at the time of making the statement, he had been informed by technical officers at the ministry that the process of registration of the entity began in December 2025. He further said, and I quote, "I genuinely believed, albeit mistakenly, that the incorporation process had been finalized," noting that the process at the Business Registration Bureau are quite seamless and the process of incorporation ordinarily takes a few days. This admission is contained in a supplementary affidavit filed before the Constitutional and Human Rights Division of the High Court. It is in relation to a petition brought by 4 citizens led by Nakuru Dr. Magare Gikenyi, challenging the legality of the government's secret plan to create a corporate vehicle to manage public money on a scale larger than Kenya's entire national budget. Despite the legal clouds and the admission of misinformation, the government is not backing down. The National Infrastructure Fund bill has moved to its second reading as Majority Leader in the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah, refuted claims that the fund will be prone to abuse.
The establishment of this fund will significantly enhance the country's capacity to deliver, as I said, on transformative infrastructure projects in roads, railways, energy, water infrastructure, and other strategic national assets across the country.
If you continue running the economy the way we are running, we would only be able to build approximately 30 to 90 kilometers per year, Honorable Speaker. And that's why the reckoning call is, how do we balance the need for development expenditures, the need to honor our constitutional mandates?
The Controller of Budget, Margaret Nyakango, and the Auditor General had raised concerns over the establishment of the fund. Nyakango questioned the legality of exuding her office from authorization of withdrawal and expenditure of the proceeds. Daniel Kariuki, KTN.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it.
Those are Kenyan politicians for you. You misread the whole nation, na unatembea tu as if nothing happened. So stupid. Know your body as your higher. I don't need to do an explanation there. Let's see this murder of this gun before I give you the ODM stuff. Tuone huyu msichana aliuawa.
Naam, karibu tena mtazamaji, tuendelee na taarifa zaidi. Afisa wa DCI anayehudumu katika makao makuu ya DCI hapa Nairobi anasakwa na maafisa wa polisi baada ya kudaiwa kumuua mkewe nyumbani kwao katika eneo la Lumumba Drive, mtaa wa Roysambu hapa jijini Nairobi. Afisa Daniel Mburu Masharia anadaiwa kumdunga kisu mkewe mara 4 kabla ya kutoroka eneo la tukio na kuzima simu yake. Mwanahabari wa masuala ya uhalifu Lennox Sengre anaangazia taarifa hiyo kwa kina.
Damu iliyotapakaa kote kote inaonyesha taswira kamili ya yale yaliyojiri ndani ya nyumba hii, eneo la Lumumba Drive, Roysambu, jijini Nairobi. Hapa afisa wa DCI kutoka makao makuu ya DCI kwa jina Daniel Mburu Masharia anadaiwa kumdunga mkewe kisu mara 4 kabla ya kutoroka.
Nilikuwa najua maybe alichapwa akalala akashindwa kuamka. Maybe tu amelala aizi songa juu alikuwa amefunikwa but miguu zilikuwa zimefunikwa. Then nikasikia the smell. Nikakuwa like Then sabe nilikaribia nikaona mkono yake na iko kwa damu. Then nikashindwa hadi niseme nini. Then I just screamed. Nikatoka nje, nikarudi. Then when I opened like juu alikuwa amefunikwa like mkono tu iko nje, ndio nikaona like uso yake imegongwa, ako in blood na she was just cold. Ako tu baridi tu amekaa hapo.
Familia ya marehemu inadai kuwa afisa huyo wa DCI na mkewe walikuwa wameoana kwa miaka 13, lakini tukio la Jumapili limeacha simanzi, hofu, maswali mengi kuliko majibu.
Mimi kuangalia kitu yenye niweza kunimguu ilikuwa hapo, alikuwa amelala hivi. Hapa alikuwa amegongwa sana. So kwa alikuwa amefunikwa, hatukuwa tumeona amestabiwa kwa roho. Venye misha alifungua ndio nikaona. Alafu nini venye ziko hivi ndio ziko hivyo. Ni damu tu ilikuwa imejaa. Alafu nguo imepanda mpaka hapa, alikuwa amevaa dera. Ni kama alikuwa anajaribu kujipanguza damu. Kwa damu ilikuwa huko.
Marehemu alionekana kwa mara ya mwisho akiingia nyumbani kwake akiwa na mshukiwa mkuu siku ya Alhamisi kabla ya tukio hilo la kutisha.
Literally, he was sick for a whole year. Na mamangu alikaa na yeye, ana provide everything, anampikia, anamfanyia nini. She never gave up on him.
Sare za polisi pamoja na vifaa vingine vinavyoaminika kumilikiwa na mshukiwa mkuu bado viko katika eneo la tukio. Inadaiwa kuwa mshukiwa alizima simu yake na anapata ulinzi kutoka kwa wakubwa wake ili kukwepa kutiwa mbaroni.
The guy mwenye ameua mamangu, najua utaona tu, najua utaona hii ni news. Itakufikia. Na ukipata hii news, honestly nilikuwa nimeanza kuwa attached pia kwako. Kwa sababu 13 years si miaka 2 ama mwaka 1 ama miezi 2. Na nilikuwa na mimi honestly the good side yenye nilikuwa nakujua, ulikuwa una treat mom. Nilikuwa najaribu kuangalia nione kama ni msee mbaya, nione kama nitakutoa tu makosa tu, just anything nikuchukie, but sikupata.
Lennox Sengre, runinga ya KTN.
Mtazamaji, moto mkubwa umeteketeza.
Would you be happy if you stayed where you are in life and
hizo ni zile ndoa zetu za huko juu juu. Wow. That's tough. Sasa turudi kwa masuala ya ODM sasa. Autopsy imeonekana, I think autopsy ya ndege, that one is normal. Kitu inaonekana. Yeah, let's go to ODM. Kitu ni Sawa, story ndio hiyo. ODM. So, Taka kuweka Ruto. Sifuna asusia.
Can you be a travel advisor without quitting
Alafu
your 9 to 5?
niweke historia
Actually,
ya
yes.
Ayatollah.
Laura, the modern travel agency.
Chama cha ODM kimeidhinisha uamuzi wa baraza kuu la chama kumtimua seneta wa Nairobi Edwin Sifuna katika wadhifa wa katibu mkuu. Sifuna ambaye hakuhudhuria kikao hicho alisutwa kwa kukiuka katiba na kwenda kinyume na msimamo wa chama, huku kikao cha leo kikimtaka aheshimu Oburu kama kiongozi wa chama. Mwandishi wetu Apollo Kamau na mengi zaidi.
Seneta wa Nairobi Edwin Sifuna kwa mara nyingine tena aliwekwa kwenye darubini na chama chake cha ODM. Hii leo ikiwa ni kikao cha wabunge wa chama hicho waliofanya kikao katika majengo ya bunge ambacho Sifuna alisusia. Kikao hicho kilichoongozwa na kiongozi wa chama Oburu Oginga kikimfokea Sifuna vikali kwa ukosefu wa nidhamu kutokana na kutoheshimu maamuzi ya chama na Oburu kama kiongozi wa ODM na kuidhinisha kuondolewa kwake na baraza kuu la chama mwezi uliopita.
They have endorsed the decision of the National Executive Committee of the party and the Central Committee on the decisions that they have taken in their last 3 sittings.
Kikao cha leo ambacho kilihudhuriwa na washirika wa Oburu vilevile kilihudhuriwa na baadhi ya wabunge wa mrengo wa Sifuna wakiongozwa na naibu kiongozi Godfrey Osotsi, wabunge Caleb Amisi na Clive Gisairo.
No, let me ask you something. Are you not seeing in these PG members you are claiming to be Linda something? All of them are here. Aren't you seeing here? Look at the faces.
Chama cha ODM kikitoa makataa yake kwa UDA kwamba ngome za chama lazima zisalia ODM katika uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka 2027, huku kikiomba kwamba fidia ya walioumia kwenye maandamano iwekwe kwenye bajeti ya nyongeza.
We want to increase our numbers in the next general election from what we have today, and we are telling any party that we are associating with, any party in this country that wants to associate with us, our parliamentary numbers are not negotiable. We can negotiate on anything but not on our parliamentary strength.
Licha ya wito wa umoja chamani, kutokuwepo kwa mrengo wa Sifuna katika kikao cha leo ni ishara ya jinsi migawanyiko chamani imelemaza juhudi za kuleta umoja. Apollo Kamau, TV47 katika majengo ya bunge.
Sawa, hiyo ni story ya ODM wamefukuza Sifuna officially. Yes, Bwana Roba, can you react to those news? I think Sifuna is no longer an ODM member. Do you think he should form his party, or he should look for other right-minded people aingie chama ingine which is aligned to upinzani? You can react.
Thank you, Chiru. All these guys I saw in the studio a few minutes ago wamedisappear. Quite haraka jamani. Kina Stone PK, Kenya Mkora, na what's that other guy? Anyway, thank you to see you. Yeah, so hii mambo ya ODM unajua, look at even their faces. They look losers. I mean, from the video of Manchester, you can even tell. It's just like there's something, they know they are losing. And now they can be mocked both sides. From Ruda and our mock. For Sifuna, at this point, I think if I was him, it's time they can just go and form with the other people. They form their own formation and they move on. Because if we are just ODM, we are just fighting an animal, which they don't care, they don't know Aina Mbera, Aina Yuma, it's just like they are just right there. So that's even ODM. So the only thing is, can they from ODM do? Because also at the same time, people fight. So people like Sifuna fighting in between fighting, but fighting for what? I think it's time for him to move on. Because I know Tidinyoro also from what I'm seeing is going to join him. There's Bob Wino. So, and there's Orenga and other people. That formation now, it can also be like the third forcing team. Then from there to do it, that's where we had to continue to negotiate. Wakuja pamoja as our united opposition against this crook, or can they go the way they are going? Ruto goes there, then you have the other united opposition from the other side. It's something to be seen. It's not too late, but for me, it's time for them to form their own group now. Like you are chairman, who cares about the party? What people want to care is about what are you going to do for me, or what have you done for me? And what I'm looking at this point is just like everybody's older now. People want something new. People have different ideas. Somebody's putting something on the table, like he's doing. People have been watching him for a long time now, since he became a senator of Nairobi. He has done some things about like, but there are a few individuals who are kind of fighting for the people who are left in that, the so-called the Senate and the whole of parliament, because most of them wengine ni wachinga, wahuni, wezi, warafi, matumbo saki na Oburu. All kind of names, names, that's what you can divine them. But here's the good news. The good news is the so-called ODM, when I've killed Chama, okay, you can take the ODM you want to. If Baba himself, it was very difficult even to win an election. Who among them who can win an election? And what makes me mad in here about all of these things, because some of us who are also, we are Papa people, we supported him, we had our resources and other things to support him to be a president, but it never happened, or he won, he was not declared a winner. Who told them this conman he's just playing games with them? This Ruto's a conman. Yeah. Oh, what Gachagua told us about what's going to happen. That's the problem with people. If you write down, you go back to the tapes of Gachagua, whatever he predicted, it has been going on. It has been going on. I don't know when it's time for us to start believing this guy. He knows more. And vile anajisema yani dawa ya Kasongo, ni dawa kabisa ya Kasongo. But I have, from what I'm seeing there, or that's my opinion, by the way, what I'm seeing is Sifuna becomes a big, big problem for this murderer, William Samoei Conman. Sifuna becomes a problem on him. Na sasa bila anaanza kumwambia ati yeye ni mtoto nini na nini, hiyo ni chinga konayo. Hii akili yake ya utoto na nini. So, okay, Sifuna ni mtoto ama nini vile anasema. Sasa yeye ni mtu mkubwa ama ni msema nini? Si yeye ndiye amekumia Kenya hii ameharibu, na he has messed up everything in the country. He has messed up everything in the country right now. I don't know what this man, anajiona amefanya mengi, but somebody has to tell him, as people who are from outside, the wananchi ambaye wakuko wanaangalia, William Ruto is a failed presidency and we cannot try the same experiment again. It's time for him to get out, and get out as soon as 2 years ago. He should not ever even allowed run for presidency. He's somebody who doesn't know what he's doing. He's somebody who's there because he thinks he can take back people. The so-called wananchi of Kenya back to more time, because right now you can ask me the most thing I've never, ever, ever thought that it's going to come back. It's a situation where we have one dictator, he comes in, anataka worship, anataka mkisi kama vile yeye naliona Sifuna kwa mwingine alikuwa anaambia kuna watu kuna watu kutoka kwa matako nini hiyo kwa Senate. That's what Ruto wanted. And saa hii unajua this thing I can remember it started with Jarango going there feasting him at midnight among to state house to kupata maendeleo. So Ruto, that's what he wanted. And yeye anaenda Nairobi yeye anasema hii barabara ijengwe, hii ifanye nini? Yeye hakuna mtu. Ati yeye kila kitu itokea kwake. Kila kitu itokea kwake. And that's not the way our constitution is set up. I'm very upset about the members of parliament. These people, they are not consistent. Ruto should have been impeached, and he could be out of presence for a long time to gain that Akura. In fact, we should not even wait for 2027. In fact, even the elections should be held even this year, because that conman is not supposed to be the president of our country. And right now, even doesn't know, with all this war going on, I mean, the economy up of the last time I checked, I just saw our shilling is collapsing. I don't know, maybe I'm the ones, I don't know, maybe I'm the ones just seeing it wrong. I mean, it's very, very difficult for people. And those ones of us, we have people on the ground, with relatives and other people. It's straining. It's really straining. People are just like suffering. People don't have incomes. You know, and you know, in Chile, we came here before, and we can repeat it again. For any country to succeed, for any producer president to succeed, for any members of parliament to succeed, for anybody, even if you are a CEO somewhere, it's what have you done for the people you serve? If it's like a president, what have you done to improve their lives in terms of economy? That's the bottom line. Everybody wants a fair chance. Everybody wants their kids to go to school. Everybody wants their kids to get educated. Everybody wants a fair playing ground. Everybody wants to go when you're sick, you have somebody to care for you, or you can just you get medicine, even if you want to pay, but something which you can at least afford. But the problem with Kasongo, he has made everything very, very, very difficult for our people. And whenever I see some of our people trying to attend even his meetings, somebody this is a conman. What's the difference between a conman and him? He's a conman. He conned us by fake campaigns. He came in. You remember the way he came in and to be bottom up. Sasa iko wapi? We should not even give him time. I'm very glad I see people somewhere in Nairobi who are heckling him, telling him Ruto must go. I mean, the more we go, the more I have a feeling that our people, they are going to send a message come 2027. Sisi sio wa Uganda, sisi sio wa Tanzania, we are Kenyans. Wao walifanya election yao vile walifanya, wakakaliwa na nini, Museveni anafanya what he wants, na ule mama huyo mama Idi Amin huko Tanzania vile alifanya, whatever she did. But in Kenya, I wish our people will send a clear message. If a government which has come to power does not succeed, they should not see another day in power. Send them home, send them as others, just from even 1 year before. They know next time, if you don't perform, you are going to get out of here. Be it your MCA, member of parliament, a governor, a senator. Just let us send a message. And also one thing in people we are not talking about is this mambo ya katiba inasema people like secretaries, people like Mbati and others, they are not supposed to come and start campaigning. I mean, that's the constitution. Then these people, they are serving the country. Instead, now they are just telling us they are serving a certain individuals. And we are doing nothing about it. I know this thing started from even old Kenya, that's the same issue. But where are we? How comes we are not like defending this democracy? We are the only country in East Africa. People are waiting to see. You know, sometimes maybe it's too much on us, it's like piga kifua kidogo, but I think it's time for Kenya, we send a message in the hour of the continent of Africans, tell them we do what we want, not what politicians do. And come 2027, my hope is Sifuna and the crew. I have my candidate. I've been here for several times. I started in Chiru a long time ago, and I came here and I told everybody, I want to see a ticket of Sifuna being the presidential candidate, being deputized, or being the running mate, being Tintinyoro. People were just like mocking me and everything, even though it has not happened. But I feel good where I am about Sifuna becoming the next president of Kenya, 2027. That's a few months from now. I feel good, and I feel it's good to see that our people, they're also like welcoming Sifuna for the first time ever in Chiru. For the first time, we could have history. 2027, President Sifuna, the first Ruya presidency, the first person out of Kikuyu Karenjin who have been leading us since independence. At least maybe now we can change our country. We have one more time to do it. 2007, we had a chance. In fact, not even 2007. Kibaki was given a chance. He came in, then from there, there was this, the so-called people from the mountain. They were beaten 2007, walishindwa election, wakaiba, wakajitangaza from the old Katiba. And that's something which makes me mad when I see some people don't even acknowledge that Kibaki aliiba kura. Kibaki aliiba kura. He started at 2007 election, and maybe that's where our country went wrong. Since that time, I'm one person who have been just like, I wish Raila had a chance to lead the country. So he never got that chance. But here's the good news. The good news is we have another Baba. We have another young man. Another young man from all the way from, I think he comes from, I know it's Apukusu. I don't care. But the way he does things, we want somebody who can fight for the people. If him, Boba Wino, we come Tindi Nyoro, we have all these young men coming up, plus the so-called Matiangis, Kina Karonsos, Kina Matakaruas, we mix them up, our country will be on the right trajectory come 2027. This crippled, radical dictator, Samoi, it's time for him to realize, usipotoka haraka, don't wait until mlango ikuangukie. Otherwise, if you wait, the door is going to hit you. Na hii mambo ya, he keeps on threatening people. Time has come when we just tell them, you know what? It's time for us. It's the time for the people, not the time for dictatorship. So let me finish saying, in Chiru, I'm not one person who just said, tunataka power. Tunataka, I mean, that guy, whenever he speaks, man, I just, he makes me mad. He makes me annoyed about it. But at the same time, we have just make it like it's a joke now. Everything online, it's just like, is this what, I mean, can you imagine what Raila did? We should appreciate Papa, man. We should appreciate Papa. Kumbe, the other Otingas, hakukuwa na kitu. Hamuna. Ati mtu anakuja hapa anatuambia, hey, we want to get power. You want to get power? Yes, get power through Sifuna. If ODM wants power, and we want to retain power, Sifuna is there. People now want Sifuna. We can say we want ODM, more of us, ODM. Oh, find other people you just like form a government. Very easily. But guess what? They want power. Sasa sisi tutapata hiyo power through Sifuna. Tuone kama watakuja tena wapitie chini kutoka kwa dirisha. Hiyo dirisha imefungwa na imewekwa lock. Hakuna muda tutaki tena. So I don't know, Chiro Mandawapi is. It's time for us to. I hope I've answered your question, and I am sorry for talking too much, but I talked because
okay. Let me ask you another question about Oburu being mocked by Ruto today, and Nambado anaendelea kumramba matako. Ruto was somewhere with some students, sijui ni university gani alikuwa anaongea nayo, and he is talking about power. Vile tu anasemanga comrades power, and then anasema nasikia wengine wanatafuta power, na anaiweka vile Oburu anaiweka power, nasikia wengine wanatafuta power. Ni power yenyu ama ni power ingine? So can you react to that? Because I think that one was extremely demeaning according to me. So how do you take that?
So that tells you now things are not working, because they have come to realize whatever Ruto, Ruto's calculation was, he thought by going through Oburu, the so-called this ridiculous conman from Omabay, Governor Wanga, through some people here, some of them to Ned. He thought now he has the ODM. You see, what I think is this. Did I see that Kibet was fired, the so-called Kibet from State House? I think I have a feeling that the reason why he got fired, while I watched that one, is because he's the one, from what I know, he's the one who came up with all this idea of, like, they thought when under your Mlango, they would just come that way. Then from there, they can come and win elections through ODM because they knew the mountain is gone. Like now, after they have realized that things are not working out, instead they went with the wrong group of Oburu and Junet. And this time, if you see the way they have been doing things, when you go and achukua pesa yake, what you are seeing this angry conman called Ruto is reacting to is realizing how much money he has been spending trying to build this kind of momentum for his re-election. The more he goes, the more you just feel like these people are even piling them more and more backwards. The so-called ODM, you can call it ODM 1, ODM 2, I don't know what to call them, or you can call them ODM ovens. So he has come to realize it's not working for him. And that's why now you can see the frustration of saying, oh, tunataka power nini. Power nini. Najua sometimes he's also trying to see where's the mood, because he has realized, if I say this one here, you want to see the reaction of people. Politics is just the way you see the reaction of the so-called the people, because you can't just go there, you speak, then people don't, like now I can tell you from what I see, my own observation, I think Ruto is in a big trouble. If you can see in Nairobi where he thinks that whatever ODM was, those strongholds, he thought that he can go there and just take over from Papa. That's what he thought. But I don't know what somebody has told him. It's not that easy. So let him get Sifonanized. That's what he's realizing, that is very, very difficult. So he's wishing, how does he have like somebody from ODM? Like, you see the problem with Ruto nachifikiri is the most powerful, is the most clever, is the most, like, I don't know how you can put it. Like this society, the more we go, the more effort we are approaching 2027. I know there are some days, some hours, whatever it is, until 2027. The more I realize it's just his campaigns went backwards. There's no way, there's no day I can tell you from this year, I can say, oh, Ruto had a good day in terms of he wants to win. There's no day. For him, I don't know how he counts, but for me, what I'm just saying, when you are in incumbent presence, what you want to see is a stable country. What you want to see is people who are happy. What you want to see is cost of living going down. What you want to see is creating jobs for the people, education and other things working. But what's working for Ruto? Housing, sio nini na nini. Nafikiri kwanza our people were living walikuwa naishi kwa msitu. People are Kenyans people, even afadhali you can unaishi ile nyumba ambayo iko na mchanga, ambayo iko na clay soil, even if it means what you are comfortable there, then somebody akuja kuambia wanaenda kuchenga huku uende huku, it's just like then you start paying all this nonsense. That's not the way he approached this economy, in a wrong way. If they really wanted to help people to build their own houses, which patia manyumba, they changed the kind of models and houses we have in the country through stimulating economy. All they have to do is to make sure that everything becomes cheaper. They stimulate things like Mambaya cement and other places where the materials, construction materials, they try to get more people involved in terms of construction and other things. That sector, they try to create a sector to make it affordable. Ati sasa wao wanataka kuwafanyie kitu. In developed countries, we know for fact, developed countries, anytime you think the government is the one who controls everything, that's a failure. That's a failure. If you think the government is there to create jobs. And anybody who kind of like Kenya, where when we see the government is advertising jobs that we are fighting for, we are doomed. We are doomed. Developing countries is a place where you can see companies fighting for people, companies coming trying to recruit the best and the best of the best, trying to work for them. Countries where you go to universities, they have job advertisements, people in job looking for the graduates and trying to recruit them to come and join their workforce. That's what we call a developed country or a developing country, a country which is just like we are creating jobs, the private sector is the way to go. You can't tell me Kasongo is interested with Uchumi. No, he's interested of himself. And to answer your question from where we started, at this point, I don't see they say to see the light at the end of the tunnel. For this ODM, what I'm seeing is the opposite. They will see darkness at the end of the tunnel. And that's what I'm seeing here. It's darkness on them. Even look at like I said before, look at their body language. Like, you know, you're a student. Mama anasikia anaenda kutoka Suba. Ukimwangalia when they are standing there, even Oburu himself, it looks miserable. And you know what? I don't care even what happens to them. Let them, they have ruined everything. Can you imagine if these guys were united as ODM and as Sifuna? Hey, right now, they could win the president's 2027. ODM could be the first time, maybe, they could have won this thing when people like, let's try them. Wamekuja hapa because they just wanajiona matumba yao. They want to see, I mean, when Papa passed away in Jiru, this is one thing we predicted. All those people like from ODM son, the so-called maybe Ruo Nyanza, ambao walikuwa wanakuja hapa wanaenda kwa Papa, wanafanya nini, wanapatiwa direct tickets. Then from there they will never face it. This time, wao watafagiwa kama sijui nini come 2027. This is not good for them. So they have been just like, and all this time, wanakuwa under Papa. Wanaenda huko Jacom, what, patie mana direct ticket. Wanapata. But this time, the people of Ruo Nyanza will have a chance and they will send a big message that time has come to change the country. And I hope so, it will. But who knows what's going to happen with Oburu? The more I see Oburu, is like, the more it's a failure. They are not progressing, they are just failing. So at this point, Kasongo is winning in terms of against the called OTM, but it's frustrated how much money I spent on them, whatever they had arranged, the way they had arranged when I feel one day. Najua is Kasongo even himself. Remember, alikuwa anatuambia, hey, you know, I'm the first president ever who was doctorate than all the presidents who have been in Kenya. Okay, you have been doctorate. You have doctorate. It is a doctor, whatever here, or junior, what people amepata. But somebody has to tell me you are the worst president ever among the so-called who have been presidents in Kenya. That's something somebody we have to remind him. So let's see where we go. But at this point, I think things are working very nicely. But let's see, as long as the opposition remains united, Ruto has no chance. He has no chance. He has no chance. Even if he can use all the money he wants. By the way, remember I was talking about the economy. That you see, they have put a lot of money in the system. Maybe there's some of them, they are printing all this money. Look at the shilling now, it's collapsing. There's something that you guys, we have not even talked about here. The Kenyan shilling is collapsing right now. Yeah, it is collapsing. So the last time I checked, it was like 178 for $1, or I might be, I don't know, 178. And something that he's on to tell us because that's something he was telling us. Oh, when I came in, the dollar was collapsing. The shilling was collapsing. I came in, I had to stabilize the economy. I did this, and now the so-called the shilling is collapsing because they're printing a lot of money. instead of just trying to create money, the better way of trying to create wealth. I might be wrong, but I think that at this point, the ceiling is collapsing.
Yeah, it's okay. So, Bonaroba, I think that is a good presentation. Maybe you can also weigh your opinion on, we are now having the opposition caravan. We will be having 2 caravans this week. There is the Leader and Ground, Leader Mwananchi, I mean, Leader Mwananchi, iya Sifuna. The Sifuna faction is going to Ukambani. Wanaenda kukutana na timu ya Kalonzo huko. I've seen them having a very big advert. Then timu ya Gachagua will be in Mount Kenya East. Let me use East, although East is not there. It's a creation of Akina Ruto for division. So Gachagua will be in Embu and will be in Meru. I think it's kind of a show of might with Kindiki, who has already declared himself as a kingpin, sababu ako na pesa mingi sana ile ambayo anapewa na Ruto. So can you react on that show of might? So I don't know if Ruto will go there anytime soon, but can you react to that caravan of opposition? We are going to have 2 caravans, as I have explained. And do you think those caravans are meeting the objectives, or we should specifically be focusing on a strategic concept of securing the election? Because I think they still want to do what they did in Kisii 1 week ago.
So at this point, we have what's called the unknown. The unknown, what's going to happen in the opposition. But at the same time, the way things are moving, the opposition is doing very good. If at the end of the day, and that's what I mean, at the end of the day, this unit will be, they just come together as one unit. The so-called, the Sifunas, the Karonsos, the Matiangis, and the others, they will come in and form a team. And that one has to be happening as soon as possible. Not necessarily have to tell us who their presidential candidate is, but time, if you want to win an election, it's time to build what I call, just like you start building your network, preparing for the general election. So this is how you do it. And it's something which they are not doing that. I mean, that's I can say that's their weakness at this point. At this point, their weakness, okay, they are getting all these people, they are doing what, but are the same people want to be there during the election day? That's a big question. So the question remains, how can they keep on doing what they are doing, but at the same time, what they are forgetting is to build the structure of the general election. And to build a structure, and that's what Ruto did. If you remember he was there campaigning until by the time Uhuru realized, the guy had run away with Mount Kenya. So to be consistent, hata kitukano, anaenda huko, ajali, until people, unajua, alipiga, until people just like, alienda kaonga watu na nini. So, opposition, if you look at it, the one thing I can tell you, Njiro, at this point, they are friendly. They are not crashing one another. They are praising one another. That's the plus about it. And at this point, if you see, they have confused Kasongo, because Kasongo thought he can just run them over. So the way they are spreading themselves out, they are just like, Kasongo is no longer like, he's fighting for airtime from all these functions. So wengine wako Embu, Meru, wengine watakuwa Ukambani. He doesn't know which, when I'm attacked from both sides. That's what he has just come to realize now. He needs some help. So the help he thought he was going to get by now is the so-called ODM, the other one. So the other one, the ODM that he's dealing with, the fight they can go, they are also fighting him. They are fighting him. So Kasongo anabondwa both sides, kutoka kwa kichwa mpaka huko chini ya miguu, anapondwa, and that's a good thing For some of us, we want him out of power. Now, come the opposition. Here's what I think. If they are really want to win this thing and take it without no doubt, it's time to lay the foundation of what they want to do. By laying the foundation, this is what I mean. They need to start putting a team together, a team of experts, a team of the young people, involving them, even if it means that sometimes they can pay them, and a team of the so-called watchdogs, the people who can just like spying for them. You have to go beyond. You cannot just look here. You must have a big picture if you want to win this election. The one thing is they should speak the same language. Not necessarily that they speak the language or their mother tongue or anything. They should be on the same script. Hama Kasongo every time. Mwisi. Mwaji. Whatever it is. That's their theme. They keep on hammering. Let them continue doing so the way they are doing it. Then the next thing, they should come up with a structure. How do we go or want to protect the general election? Something which Baba did not plan for, even though he knew he was going to run for presidency. That's something he failed. And that's something somebody has to need to do. Whoever is going to start like forming that team, he can just say, you know what? I can go to the all provinces. I will have somebody who's going to run Nyanza, somebody who's going to run Coast, Central, Northeastern, Eastern as regions. Then from there, we have somebody below them. Every county, they should have access to every county. Then after that, they should have access to every constituency level. So they have that team. The team they developed who will be the people they rely on the ground. And these people, there should be some people they work with for a long time, for the remaining months. They know how they work. They know how to get access. They know what they do. They get backups such that come election day, everything's set for them. So the same people, they can start registering. They know this is what I got. How many people are registered in this ward? How many people are registered in this constituency? Where is Kasongo strong? How do we overcome it? Where is he very weak? How do we do better, even much better? So they need to start the so-called data. They start taking data. They start like communication. It's just they should have the center of communication. That's called the center of communication. That's what they are lacking. They should have like this their base where they are operating from. This is the headquarters of the So United. This is where we are. This is the house where we come from. This is where we come from. Everything which comes from this house of ours. What is going to be. But that's not something they don't have right now. It's because of what we know very, very well why they don't have it. Because kasai kila mtu anajipigania deba yake, kila chama kifyake. And going forward, I think that's something they have to think about it. I hope somebody will advise them. It's time to start laying the foundation. Easy as that. It's time to lay the foundation of the general election. So Itumbi and other people, we know that they are somewhere there. There's a process where they have developed making crooked numbers, doing what. It's time for the united opposition, maybe somewhere in Otaya, maybe somewhere in Nairobi, Ukambani, whatever it is. They make sure that they have people are representing them. They have their offices down there. They have where the operations team. They know who's the head of that team, who's assisting them from national to the county level to the ward level. If they do that, then things will work for them very well. But are they going to do it? I don't know. So at this point, I think if you give them, I'll give them like where they are, I'll give them a B+. Because they have decided to unite against one force. That's against Kasongo. And that one's the big thing. And right now, the mood on the ground favors them. The mood on the ground wants change. The mood on the ground, they want something new. The mood of the ground, they are tired of Ruto. The mood of the ground, they are united by Kasongo. It's their unification against him. And because of that, they should take advantage. And for them, if they think like, if that's the way you win the election, it's going to be very, very difficult. They need to hit the ground with different teams. And Jiro, are you there?
Sawa Bwana Roba, I think we are going to close the show now. Yeah, today I was not intending to have a very long show, so that we can open casual, but I will close the show with some videos which are here. So unless kama uko na jambo la mwisho la kuongezea, we will close the show.
No, me, I don't have. I'll see you maybe tomorrow. Then we see from where we go. But yeah, so from here, let's go on to get it. Opposition united. We are behind you. Go Sifuna. We are Sifunanized. Thank you, Njiro.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate for those who have come. Nitacheza video mbili alafu show yangu ya leo itakuwa imeisha. The war is still continuing. This one is courtesy of anaitwa nani? Belfast.
East of Israel is the Gulf nation of Qatar, which has served as a mediator in negotiations between the U.S. and Iran in the lead up to this conflict. Qatar also hosts a large U.S. military base, in fact, the largest in the Middle East. CBS News foreign correspondent Imtiaz Tayeb is there. Imtiaz, good evening.
Tony, good evening to you. Well, in what could mark a major escalation, Gulf nations, including here in Qatar, are weighing whether to join the U.S. and Israel and strike Iran themselves after accusing Tehran of, quote, reckless and indiscriminate attacks on their countries.
Tonight, an Iranian drone struck the grounds of a U.S. consulate in Dubai, setting it ablaze. There are no reports of casualties, but it's part of a punishing campaign by Tehran that has seen the United Arab Emirates targeted more than any other nation in the Gulf. The UAE's Ministry of Defense released this video showing its air defenses intercepting one of 186 Iranian missiles fired at the country. Most were shot out of the sky, but the damage to hotels and residences has been extensive. Oh my God. At least 3 people have been killed.
Ali Hossein Khamenei alizaliwa Aprili 19 mwaka 1939. Amehudumu kama kiongozi mkuu wa pili wa Iran tangu mwaka 1989 na hivyo kuwa kiongozi wa muda mrefu zaidi wa taifa katika Mashariki ya Kati na wa pili kwa muda mrefu katika historia ya Iran katika karne ya 20 na 21 baada ya Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. Katika kipindi chake cha zaidi ya miaka 35 madarakani, Khamenei amepanga na kuendesha mfumo wa kisiasa, kidini na kijamii wa Iran, akiongoza Jamhuri ya Kiislamu kupitia vita, vikwazo, maandamano na mvutano wa kimataifa. Akiwa mwanazuoni wa Kiislamu na mwanasiasa, uongozi wake umejikita katika misingi ya mapinduzi ya Kiislamu ya mwaka 1979, mageuzi ya kiuchumi na sera ya nje inayotegemea Uislamu wa Kishia, huku akikabiliwa na ukosoaji mkubwa kuhusu utawala wa kiimla na ukiukwaji wa haki za binadamu kutoka mataifa mengi hasa ya Magharibi. Makala hii inachunguza maisha ya Khamenei, taaluma yake ya kisiasa, sera zake na changamoto kuu zilizounda enzi yake ya utawala. Ali Khamenei alizaliwa mjini Mashhad, Iran, kwa wazazi Javad Khamenei, mwanazuoni wa Kiislamu, alimu na mujtahid, na Hadije Midamadi. Baba yake alikuwa mwenye asili ya Kiazerbaijan kutoka mji wa Hamanei, huku mama yake akiwa Muiran kutoka Yazid. Nasaba yake inamfikia Said Hussein Tafreshi, mjukuu wa imamu wa 4 wa Kishia Ali al-Sajjad. Akiwa katika familia yenye maadili ya kidini, alianza kusoma akiwa na umri wa miaka 4, akijifunza Quran katika maktaba ya karibu. Aliendelea na masomo ya msingi na ya juu ya kidini huko Mashhad chini ya walimu kama Sheikh Hashim Kazvini na Ayatollah Milani. Mwaka 1957 alisafiri kwa muda mfupi kwenda Najaf, Iraq kwa masomo ya ziada ya kidini, lakini akarudi Mashhad kwa ombi la baba yake. Kufikia mwaka 1958 alihamia Qom ambako alihudhuria masomo chini ya wanazuoni wakubwa kama Said Hossein Borujeldi na Ruhollah Khomeini, ambaye baadaye aliongoza mapinduzi ya Kiislamu. Tofauti na wanazuoni wengi, Khamenei aliweka kipaumbele harakati za kisiasa kuliko utafiti wa kidini, jambo lililomwandaa kwa nafasi yake ya mapinduzi. Kipindi cha uongozi wa kisiasa wa Khamenei kilianza kwa nguvu miaka 1960 na 1970 alipokuwa akipinga utawala wa Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. Alikamatwa mara 6 na kufukuzwa uhamishoni kwa miaka 3 na hatimaye akawa mmoja wa viongozi muhimu wa mapinduzi ya Kiislamu ya mwaka 1978 hadi 1979, akiwa karibu sana na Ruhollah Khomeini. Aliandaa maandamano mbalimbali huko Mashhad na kujijengea sifa ya kuwa kiongozi wa mapinduzi. Baada ya ushindi wa mapinduzi, alipewa nyadhifa kadhaa muhimu katika serikali mpya ya Jamhuri ya Kiislamu, zikiwemo naibu waziri wa ulinzi na msimamizi wa jeshi la walinzi wa mapinduzi ya Kiislamu IRGC. Mwaka 1980, Khomeini alimteua kuwa imamu wa sala ya Ijumaa ya Tehran, wadhifa uliompa ushawishi mkubwa katika siasa za taifa hilo. Mnamo Juni 27 mwaka 1981, Khamenei aliponea chupuchupu jaribio la mauaji lililofanywa na kundi la Mujahideen el-Halq baada ya bomu lililofichwa ndani ya kinasa sauti kulipuka katika msikiti wa Abu Zal, likimjeruhi vibaya mkono wake wa kulia na kuathiri mishipa ya sauti na mapafu yake. Shambulio hilo linalodaiwa kufanywa na kundi la Furqan lilionyesha hatari ya miaka ya awali ya utawala wa Kiislamu. Hata hivyo, ujasiri wake baada ya tukio hilo ulimpa umaarufu zaidi. Mnamo Oktoba mwaka 1981 alichaguliwa kuwa rais wa 3 wa Iran kwa 97% ya kura na kuwa mwanazuoni wa kwanza kushika wadhifa huo baada ya Khomeini kubadili msimamo wake kuhusu viongozi wa kidini kushika nafasi ya uraisi. Alirejea madarakani mwaka 1985 kwa 87% ya kura, na katika kipindi chake alihudumu wakati wa vita ya Iran na Iraq mwaka 1980 hadi 88, akijenga ushirikiano wa karibu na IRGC na kushinikiza mbinu ya tahadhari badala ya kushambulia Iraq moja kwa moja. Baada ya kifo cha Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini mnamo mwaka 1989, baraza la wataalamu, yani Assembly of Experts, likamchagua Ali Khamenei kuwa kiongozi mkuu wa Jamhuri ya Kiislamu ya Iran mnamo Juni 4, licha ya kutokuwa na hadhi ya marja, cheo cha juu zaidi kwa wanazuoni wa Kishia kilichoonekana kuwa sharti kwa nafasi hiyo. Ili kuruhusu uteuzi huo, katiba ilifanyiwa marekebisho kuruhusu mujtahid mwenye uchaji wa Mungu aliyepitishwa na baraza kuwa kiongozi mkuu. Khamenei alipata kura 60 kati ya 74 baada ya mjadala mkali dhidi ya pendekezo la kuwa na baraza la uongozi badala ya mtu mmoja, ambalo Khamenei na wafuasi wake walilipinga, wakisisitiza ufanisi wa uongozi wa mtu mmoja. Uteuzi wake uligubikwa na utata, huku maayatola wakubwa kama Mohammad Shirazi na Hussein al-Muntazeri wakipinga sifa zake za kidini. Mnamo mwaka 1994, jumuiya ya walimu wa seminari ya Qom ilimtangaza Khamenei kuwa marja, ingawa baadhi ya wanazuoni walikataa kutambua cheo hicho.
Beware of day trading options. It's one of the fastest ways to lose all of your money. This is what some people will keep telling you because they have never traded options and they don't know how straightforward they can be. Hi, my name is Mike Shore, and I'm going to send you my day trading cheat sheet for 100% free, no strings attached. I've been in the trading game for over 30 years, and I'm featured on major news networks regularly. A lot of my students come to me with the same problem. There are too many stocks to choose from and too many complex ways to trade options. But most of those are just distractions that take you further from your ultimate goal of trading, making money. So if you're sick and tired of spending hours on YouTube trying to
Akiwa kiongozi mkuu, Khamenei anashikilia mamlaka ya juu kabisa juu ya mihimili yote ya serikali: utendaji, sheria, mahakama na jeshi. Anateua maafisa muhimu kama kamanda wa IRGC, jaji mkuu na nusu wa wajumbe wa baraza la walezi, yani Guardian Council, ambalo hupitisha wagombea wa uchaguzi. Ushawishi wake unafika hadi kwenye vyombo vya habari, mashirika ya misaada, bonyads na taasisi za kidini za Qom na Mashihad, akijenga mtandao mkubwa wa watu wanaomwamini. Wakosoaji kama Mehdi Halaji na Said Golka wanamlaumu kwa kujenga taasisi sambamba, yani parallel structures, ili kudhibiti mfumo na kujihakikishia mamlaka. Khamenei amesisitiza kujitegemea kiuchumi, uongozi wa Kiislamu na ubinafsishaji wa uchumi. Mnamo mwaka 2007 alitoa wito wa ubinafsishaji wa mashirika ya umma ikiwemo sekta za mawasiliano, benki na mafuta, jambo lililobadili ibara ya 44 ya katiba ya Iran. Alisema ubinafsishaji utalinda haki za umiliki na kuchochea uwekezaji na kuiwezesha Iran kuwa mshika usukani wa nishati duniani kupitia rasilimali zake za mafuta na gesi. Utawala wake umekumbwa na changamoto nyingi kutoka kwa vikwazo vya kimataifa ambavyo anasema Iran imevikabili kwa uvumilivu. Mwaka 2008 alitetea sera za kiuchumi za Iran, akilaumu matatizo ya uchumi wa dunia kwa usimamizi mbovu wa mataifa magharibi badala ya kasoro za ndani. Utawala wake umehusika na maandamano makubwa kama yale ya Kazvin ya mwaka 1994, maandamano ya wanafunzi ya mwaka 99, maandamano ya uchaguzi wa rais 2009, maandamano ya 2019 na 2020 na maandamano ya Mahsa Amini. Harakati hizi mara nyingi zimechochewa na matatizo ya kiuchumi au madai ya uhuru wa kiraia na zimekabiliwa na ukandamizaji mkali, ikiwemo kukamatwa kwa waandamanaji, kuchapa viboko na hata kunyongwa. Wakosoaji wake wanamtuhumu kwa kuhusika na mauaji ya wapinzani, wakiwemo wanachama wa Mujahideen al-Halq, pamoja na kuwanyanyasa waandishi na wasomi wa Iran. Amejitetea dhidi ya ukosoaji wa haki za binadamu kwa kusema kuwa Uislamu unatanguliza heshima ya mwanadamu na kwamba mataifa magharibi ni wanafiki kwa kuhukumu wengine huku wakikiuka haki hizo wao wenyewe. Sera ya nje ya Khamenei imejikita katika kusambaza mapinduzi ya Kiislamu na kuunga mkono mhimili wa upinzani, Axis of Resistance, yakiwemo makundi nchini Iraq, Syria, Yemen na Palestina. Akiwa mkosoaji mkali wa Israel na Uzayuni, Khamenei aliwahi kuifananisha Israel na uvimbe wa kansa na ameunga mkono mapambano ya Palestina, hasa akilisifu shambulio la Hamas la mwaka 2023, ingawa alikana kuhusika moja kwa moja. Kauli zake za awali, ikiwemo kukanusha mauaji ya Holocaust mwaka 2014 na 2016, zimezua shutuma za chuki dhidi ya Wayahudi, japo maafisa wa Iran kama waziri wa mambo ya nje wa zamani Javad Zarif wamesema kauli hizo zimetafsiriwa vibaya. Fatwa ya Khamenei ya mwaka 2010 inayopiga marufuku utengenezaji wa silaha za nyuklia imetajwa kama ushahidi wa nia ya Iran kuendeleza nyuklia kwa matumizi ya kiraia, ingawa wengine wanahoji uhalali wake wa kudumu. Upinzani wake dhidi ya Marekani ni kiini cha itikadi yake, akilitazama taifa hilo kama chanzo cha dhuluma duniani. Amekataa mazungumzo na Marekani hasa chini ya utawala wa Trump, na mwaka 2024 alituhumu Marekani kwa kuchochea mgogoro wa Ukraine. Uungaji mkono wake kwa Urusi, ikiwemo kuipatia drones mwaka 2022, pamoja na urafiki wake na China na Korea Kaskazini, umesababisha wengine kuliona kuwa sehemu ya muungano wa vurugu, yani Axis of Upheaval. Mwaka 2025, wakati wa vita kati ya Iran na Israel, Khamenei amekataa wito wa kusalimu amri licha ya vitisho vya kuuawa kutoka kwa viongozi wa Israel. Uongozi wa Khamenei umejaa utata mkubwa. Anaosimamia mfuko wa kifedha unaojulikana kama Setad, ambao ripoti zinadai kuwa una thamani ya dola bilioni 95 na umekosolewa kwa kuhodhi mali kupitia unyakuzi wa mali za watu, ingawa maafisa wa Iran wanasema ni shirika la misaada linalosaidia miundombinu na ajira. Fatwa zake zimeonyesha mtazamo wake wa kihafidhina wa sheria za Kiislamu, ikiwemo marufuku ya kufundisha muziki mwaka 1996, wanawake kuendesha baskeli 2017 na kukashifu maswahaba wa Mtume Muhammad mwaka 2010. Alikataa mageuzi ya sheria ya vyombo vya habari mwaka 2000 na alihusishwa na kuenguliwa kwa wagombea wa uchaguzi kama ilivyotokea katika uchaguzi wa bunge mwaka 2004. Makundi ya haki za binadamu yamemlaumu kwa kuwafunga waandishi wa habari, bloggers na wanaharakati waliomkosoa, mara nyingi wakiwa pia wanatuhumiwa kwa makosa ya kukufuru. Vilevile anashutumiwa kwa kuwakandamiza wachache, hasa jamii ya Bahai, na kupinga haki za wanawake kama ilivyo kwa msimamo wake dhidi ya mkataba wa kuzuia ubaguzi dhidi ya wanawake, CEDAW. Ameunga mkono mgawanyo wa kijinsia na kuvaa hijabu kwa lazima, huku akilaani ushoga kama upotovu wa kimaadili. Khamenei amemwoa Mansoure Hojastei Bahizadeh na wana watoto 6, wavulana 4, Mostafa, Mojitaba, Masud pamoja na Meisam, na mabinti 2, Boshra na Hoda. Anaishi katika jengo la kifalme la Beit Rahbar mjini Tehran akiwa na wafanyakazi zaidi ya 500. Ingawa hujenga taswira ya maisha ya kawaida, ripoti zimeibua madai ya matumizi ya magari ya kifahari kama BMW. Akiwa msomaji hodari, anapenda mashairi, hucheza ala ya tar na ametafsiri kazi za Said Qutbi. Afya yake imekuwa mada ya uvumi, hasa baada ya kufanyia upasuaji wa tezi dume mwaka 2014 na upasuaji wa tumbo mwaka 2022. Urithi wake una sura mbili. Wafuasi wake wanamuona kama kiongozi wa kiroho anayetetea utambulisho wa Kiislamu wa Iran, huku wakosoaji wakimchora kama dikteta anayekandamiza upinzani, ikiwemo Israel. Ushawishi wake juu ya taasisi kama IRGC na mahakama unahakikisha kuwa sera zake zinaendelea hata baada ya kustaafu au kifo. Hata hivyo, maandamano ya mara kwa mara na changamoto za kiuchumi zinaweka shinikizo juu ya utawala wake. Kadri Iran inavyokabiliwa na mazingira magumu ya kisiasa kimataifa, maono ya Khamenei ya kujitegemea na kupinga ubeberu yataendelea kuiunda njia ya baadaye ya Jamhuri ya Kiislamu.
How far can your apps go? Meet Base 44.
We finished the first 2 months of a year that everybody agrees is critical in the country called Kenya, with a tragedy, the passing on of a member of parliament in a tragic helicopter accident, the late Johanna Ngeno, a very controversial MP, and also, this is very important, kingpin of the Kipsigis community within the larger Kalenjin tribe. And of course, we have conspiracy theories flying all over the place. However, regulars on this channel will know, if I have not seen any evidence, if I've seen no pointers, I will not join in any conspiracy theory. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not ruling out foul play. No. All I'm saying, give me time. I will not speak about something I know nothing about. Never ever. But that does not mean that we will not dive very deep into this Johanna Ngeno Manenos. We will. Please, Tuliza Boli. We will get there. We will even talk about what people are saying about blood manenos, bloodletting, and the consequences. I am taking no prisoners. We'll dive right into that. But also on my show today, we're going to look into the passport fiasco, whereby warlords are going around with Kenyan diplomatic passports. Yeah. And I'm sure today you're going to hear things you will not believe. Also on my show today is a spiritual bird's eye view of exactly what is going down in Kenya right now. And that should be more than super fascinating, because you're going to understand a lot of things that are happening in Kenya right now. But even more importantly, we're going to understand and predict with pinpoint accuracy exactly what is going to happen next. And by happening next, I mean very, very soon, virtually almost immediately, yeah, based on solid spiritual evidence. I'm sure that will be more than super fascinating. But let us start with the Yohana Ngeno tragic latest developments. My heart goes out to his family. My deep and sincere condolences to all those who loved him and were close to him, and even his constituents. Although we must always remember that when somebody leaves us, it is not about them. It is about us who have been left behind, who still have a chance, who still have a life. We don't know how long. Nobody does. But the point is, we still have a chance to make things right before we depart. Therefore, it is always about us, not about the departed. In my controversial opinion, I take it always as a warning from the Most High. Hata wewe siku yako inakuja. Je, umejipanga? Are you ready? Yeah, for that thing which will happen on a day you do not know. Anyway, the reason why there's so much murmuring, so many conspiracy theories in the absence of facts, you really need to know, if you did not know, is because, and only because, of the politics. Because the politics surrounding the late Yohana Ngeno and the Kipsigis community ni moto kuliko pasi kumi ya makaa. Oh yes. Now we need to understand that the problem here is that the Kalenjin community by nature and by culture are very secretive. Even the analysts within the community will not come out and give you the facts and details and what is happening. Mainly because to them, they see it as a betrayal of the community. And this also applies to the Maasai community. They're very secretive. Kujua mambo yao ni ngumu. In most instances, they will pretend that everything is okay. But let's start this story at the beginning. From around mid last year, there have been very serious murmurings, very, very serious chini ya maji rebellion from the Kipsigis community towards the current Ruto administration. Oh yes. And Bwana Rigathi Gachagua had this information. And that is why recently he landed in Bomet, Kipsigis country. He did not go to the Nandi. He did not go to the Keio. He landed in Bomet, Kipsigis country. And we clearly saw the excitement of the crowd on the ground. They all seemed to be one term, which was strange to many Kenyans who do not understand the internal politics of the Kalenjin community. But let us also understand what all the beef is about, okay? The beef is the Kipsigis community are feeling left out of the Ruto administration. The feeling on the ground is that they have not benefited and that the Nandi and the Keio are the ones who have been greatly favored by this administration, even in government appointments, in wielding power in the Ruto administration, etc., etc. Now, super fascinating, and I'm now going very deeply into politics. Now, super fascinating, the late Daniel Toroitich arap Moi, the second president of Kenya, had exactly the same problem. However, the truth is, although Ruto has the same problem, yake ni times 10. Okay? You see, Moi had a huge advantage in that he did not belong to the Nandi community, very influential within the Kalenjin, and he did not belong to the Kipsigis community. Those are the ones with the largest population. If we can go into statistics, they account for 45% of the entire Kalenjin community in both Kenya and Uganda, the Kipsigis. And therefore, it was very easy for Moi to play the Nandis against the Kipsigis. Ruto does not have that luxury, especially because he has roots in both. Now, I need to ask you a question, yeah? And of course, let's not forget, yeah, we're still discussing Yohana Ngeno politics, which has been dragged into his very sudden death. And my question is Ruto a Kipsigis or a Nandi? Most Kenyans will say a Nandi, and of course they're wrong. And that is why I have to ask you yet another question. What clan do you belong to? Is it the clan of your mother or the clan of your father? Of course, the answer to that is very obvious. You belong to the clan of your dad, your father. And so if you agree with me that that is a fact, then President Ruto belongs to the Kapkomo Sek clan of the Kipsigis community, the clan of his late biological father, Mzee Daniel Cheriot, who hailed from the Kipsigis community. But because of the circumstances of how he was brought up and how he is very close to his Nandi mother, most Kenyans believe to this day that he hails from the Nandi community. And I believe he brought out his personal preference very clearly when he changed his name while he was still a mere member of parliament from William Kipchirchir Ruto to William Samoei Ruto, because he named himself after the great, revered, legendary Nandi leader, Koitalel Arap Samoei, the Kenyan most responsible for holding off the mighty British Empire in the building of the railway for 11 long years, with his guerrilla tactics, bows and arrows against guns and cannons. He reigned supreme. Alinyorosha wabeberu kweli kweli. This great man Koitalel Arap Samoei, until one day the Brits played dirty, pretended to invite him to a peace meeting, and assassinated him by doing something very cowardly, walimpiga risasi nyuma ya kichwa at point blank range, and preserved his skull to this day outside the country of Kenya. I think they were studying DNA, etc., etc. Walikuwa wanataka kujua kwani huyu mtu alikuwa na akili namna gani, and he has not gone to our schools. He is not educated. Hajaenda shule, ana degree, but how come he was so smart? He outsmarted us for 11 long years. My theory, yeah? But the fact is, that part of his remains is still not in motherland Kenya as I speak. And so Kipchirchir legally became Samoei. I trust that now you're beginning to understand just how complex Kalenjin politics is, and especially what we're discussing today. But I'm really hoping that I don't lose anybody, and that we all follow so that we understand. Now, the late Yohana Ngeno was a kingpin and champion of Kipsigis rights, and he always fought to the end for the Kipsigis. A case in point was over the controversial Mau settlement, Manenos, where he put aside his education. He and very many leaders from the community put aside their education, their knowledge, their common sense, and their logic to support the Kipsigis community. And the truth is, with him gone, there is no replacement in sight, because other prominent leaders like Isaac Ruto have made it very clear that they are on the other side, the two-term side, yeah, and would rather downplay, yeah, the feelings on the ground of the Kipsigis community. Now, in my opinion, if somebody thought that with Johanna Ngeno out of the way, it would be easier to deal with the Kipsigis problem, in my opinion, they were very mistaken. Because what is going to happen next?
Warning, don't believe the AI trading hype until you watch this entire video. Hi, I'm Lane Mendelsohn. I'm the president of Vantage Point AI, the leading market forecasting software that's helped over 35,000 traders find life-changing trading opportunities just like these. I've been featured on news networks such as Fox Business, Yahoo Finance, and even at the NASDAQ. I was even named one of the top 10 tech entrepreneurs to follow. If you've been curious to learn how to utilize AI in your trading, there's plenty of other new startup companies with very little to no actual experience in the markets, trying to capitalize on the new AI trends to make a quick buck. Meanwhile, our AI trading platform was pioneered by my father back in the late 1980s, and our long history of predicting markets with 1 to 3 days in advance with up to 87.4% proven accuracy speaks for itself. You see, so many of these software companies and YouTube influencers want to cherry pick a few big winning trades. It's easy to draw lines on old charts and show where you could have or would have or should have.
Is that the Kipsigis are going to circle their wagons, yeah, get together and fight even harder, yeah, for the cause of the community, and fight even harder than when Johanna Ngeno was around leading them in their fight, which in my opinion is going to cause very serious problems to this administration. They already have very serious problems over this challenge in politics, but it is now going to get a lot worse, okay? And if you're in doubt, I suggest that you review the clips and the videos of the Gachagua meeting at a place called Mulot in Bomet recently. And the fact that this tragedy has happened, yeah, of Johanna Ngeno losing his life, the fact that it has happened so quickly after the Mulot Gachagua meeting is adding fuel to the fire of conspiracy theories. Naturally. And I'm sure by now you can see why. Actually, kweli in politics, vindu vichenjanga, because the late Ngeno started off as a very staunch supporter of William Samoei Ruto. He even came out as a kind of person who was ready to sacrifice for Ruto. Because at the height of the battle between Ruto and the then President Uhuru, yeah, Ngeno was sucked into a plot, njama, where he said a few things that were so serious that he was arrested for hate speech, and even risked very bad things happening to him. Because according to Governor George Natembeya, he's the one who saved Ngeno from kufanywa vitu vibaya sana inside cells. They had planned for him, okay, to teach him a lesson. I believe at that time, Ngeno looked at Ruto as one of us. Mtu wa Komosek clan, mtu wetu. However, things changed very dramatically, so that by the time he passed on, things were very different. And so now, South Rift politics is about to get even more interesting. But let's wait and see how this develops. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's just wait and see how this pans out, shall we? Now, most Kenyans do not understand that we have a very long history of passport yetu kutumiwa vibaya. Our passport being used very badly, with very dire consequences on the rest of Kenyans. Oh yes, and let me give you the perfect example. Until March 7th, 1996, if you wanted to visit the UK, all you needed to do was to ensure that you have your passport with you. There was absolutely no business of going over to the High Commission to look for a visa. Hiyo ilikuwa hakuna. You just go to the airport with your passport, and of course you've already purchased your air ticket, and you fly to London. And when you arrive, it is like crossing over to Tanzania. You encounter this immigration officer and he just asks you, how long are you staying? And he stamps your passport and he tells you, welcome to the UK. Until March 7th, 1996, the 90s, the late 90s, okay? Not the 70s, not the 80s, the 90s. So what happened? That things changed so suddenly. People misused the Kenyan passport. That's all that happened. There was a problem in neighboring Somalia. Isn't there always a problem there? There was a problem there. And many Somalis from Mogadishu and the environs crossed over to Kenya, easily got a Kenyan ID, easily got a Kenyan passport. Yeah, that's very easy. After all, our country ni nchi ya kitu kidogo. I think we all know that. That's not breaking news. And then they flooded Heathrow. Because at the time, to get into Britain, all you needed was a Kenyan passport. And you'd stay for 6 months without anybody asking you many, many questions. Oh, yes, that's how it was. And when they flooded London, the Mzungu said, no. From this day on, Kenyans will need to apply for a visa. And so from March 7th, 1996, for you to land in the UK, ni kazi, my friend. Ni kazi. You have to start by looking for this highly valued thing called a visa to allow you entry into the UK. It all happened because people misused the Kenyan passport, because Kenya is a key country in the British Commonwealth, and most countries in the Commonwealth have certain privileges, and we lost a very important privilege because somebody misused the Kenyan passport. Fast forward to the present, it is happening again. Senior RSF people were issued with Kenyan diplomatic passports. Work on a diplomatic passport? I bet you don't. That is not something very easy to get. But a foreigner, somebody committing atrocities in their country called Sudan, has a diplomatic passport, Republic of Kenya. Now, there is a deeper story nobody's talking about here. And let me ask you a very simple question so that we dive into this deeper, super fascinating story. How did this secret come out that a warlord, the brother of a warlord, in a place where we know atrocities are ongoing, got a Kenyan diplomatic passport? How did that story leak out? Well, it came from Watu Trump. It came from the US. Now, why would the US release such information? Because it was very clear from the way they released that information that they wanted people to know that these people have a Kenyan passport. In other words, they wanted the world to know that these people are being assisted by powerful people in Kenya. No, in fact, not powerful people. These people are being assisted by the Kenyan government. That is really the message the Americans were sending to the world. Now, think about it for a minute. Did they want to send this message to the world for the good of the Kenyan people, or rather for the good of the Kenyan government? No, of course not. They were exposing the evil of the Kenyan government. Pure and simple. Now, why would they want to do that? Is it because the Americans ni watu wa two-term? I'm not going to answer that one. Please answer it for yourself. Did they do it because the Americans ni watu wa two-term? Ama ni watu wa one-term? Answer that question for yourself. I believe the answer is more than obvious. More problems for the Ruto administration and his impossible ambition, because nobody sees how it's going to happen, of serving a second term as president of the Republic of Kenya. Okay? Based on solid facts, which are presented before you.
Hey friends, Eric here, and in this video, I want to talk to you about how you can retire with just $300,000. Most people can retire with $100,000 a year of income. If you use a traditional finance retirement calculator, then you'll need a portfolio of approximately $1 to $2 million. And the math works out to be 1 million times 7%, and that gets you to around $17,000. So if you have a little bit more than $1 million, then you'll be retiring with $100,000. This means you need to save usually for 30 to 40 years to reach that goal. And if you are able to get a higher return, then you can retire with less capital. And in this case, 300,000. So first question, if you want to retire with 100,000 a year, what is the return you need to achieve with a 300,000 portfolio? The answer is 30% return. 300K times 30% return is approximately 100K. If you want to calculate how much you want for retirement, I'll also include the video up here on the retirement calculator as well. For retirement, you want cash flow, not capital gain. So that's what you want to focus on. So what does that work out to?
Now, where is Kenya spiritually? Kenya, I believe, spiritually, is in a place which is very similar to where the country was immediately after 1969. And here's the breaking news for most of us, because most of us don't follow history. We have no time for history. Here's the breaking news for you. After 1969, the Jomo Kenyatta presidency was kwisha maneno. It was just a matter of time. And so that we understand what is happening currently, spiritually, we need to answer the question, what really happened that was significant in the year 1969, spiritually speaking? Well, 1969 was the year of major assassinations. It started in January with the assassination of a great son of the country, Agwins Kodek. Officially at the time, Bwana Kodek, a brilliant lawyer, in fact, the first African Kenyan black lawyer to qualify, and he qualified in Great Britain. The official story is that he passed on after a road accident. And this road accident happened in Nairobi, on a busy Nairobi road. Can you imagine that? Yeah, on a road which today is named after him. But then we learned when Mwai Kibaki came into power and released some government confidential information that actually Bwana Kodek died from, wait for this one, gunshot wounds from a government-issued rifle. Okay? And then, in the year 1969, this was followed by the assassination of Thomas Joseph Odhiambo Mboya, Tom Mboya, on July 5th, 1969. And then, this was followed by the Kisumu massacre on 25th October, 1969. All that was part of an operation. I have a landmark video series on this channel titled Tom Mboya. It was more than an assassination, which explains all this in great detail. All this was part of an operation to completely neutralize the Luo community from being a threat to the Jomo presidency and to secure the Jomo presidency well into the future, maybe another 20, 30 years. That was the plan. But obviously the people who planned this were not aware of a very important spiritual law. Because had they been aware, they would have realized that actually what they were doing is finishing off the Jomo Kenyatta presidency as quickly as possible. They were actually doing the opposite of what they thought they were doing. Why? Because of something called bloodletting. You don't do that. If you want things to go well with you, that is the last thing you want to do. Okay? And history has shown us this over and over again. Anyway, please observe carefully what happened in Kenya after 25th October 1969. Jomo Kenyatta's health just went south and south and south. He started slipping in and out of comas. Most of the time, he was in a coma. His public appearances were very, very few. And when he appeared in public, it was obvious that the man was very sickly. But obviously at the time, It was treason, a very serious crime in Kenya, to even suggest that the president looked sickly. And those people who understand the spiritual will also understand something else very important. Damu inaitisha damu. And therefore what happened is that in 1975, a man called Josiah Mwangi Kariuki was assassinated in a very brutal manner, very brutal. Now, recently we have gotten some very conclusive evidence telling us without doubt who was behind the J.M. Kariuki assassination. Burudi Nabwera, who was a member of the Parliamentary Select Committee that looked into the gruesome murder of J.M. Kariuki. And they presented this report to Jomo Kenyatta, and Jomo Kenyatta rejected that report, saying that there was no way he was going to receive it until they delete the names of two individuals on that list. Yeah, Wanyuke Thungu, very close to Kenyatta, one of Kenyatta's thugs, and another man called Mbiu Koinange, Jomo Kenyatta's brother-in-law, I believe by marriage of Jomo's second wife. And super fascinating, those two names were deleted from the report using a green pen, Kenyatta's green pen, on the spot. Sema kufanya vitu kienyeji. They were deleted with the green pen of Jomo Kenyatta, and then Jomo Kenyatta accepted that report from the Parliamentary Select Committee. Na hiyo maneno ikaishia hapo.
There was a time when investing meant calling a broker and then hoping he picked up the phone. You didn't make decisions, you waited. And then the internet showed up, and suddenly you could place your own trades. But of course, now the pressure was on you. There was no structure, no guidance, just noise. Apps came along and made trading much faster. Social media made it much louder. Everyone had opinions. Very few people had a system.
Stone PK umerudi. You can react to discussion yetu siku ya leo, especially hiyo long explanation ya Mr. Gong, yule ambaye anazikwa Friday. Are you here? Stone, are you here?
Yes, niko hapa.
Yeah. Inaongelea nini?
Video sinapeana tu series of the murder, vile watu waliuliwa, kina JM, kina nani. Nilikuwa nimeisikiza hiyo ya Chris akipeana hiyo analysis of all what happened, and it's equivalent to the situation that is building up here in Kenya. History repeats itself, hata kama inasemaga hivi. So we don't know how the cycle will go, but they are all indicators of a dying society led by a dying government. It is sad that most of our leaders, let's say the ones in our opposition, are not able to save the country before total collapse. It is very sad that all what is happening, hakuna mtu ana balls za kustop, because I believe it can be stopped, but they want ibomoke ndio tujenge. So it is very sad. So Bwana Ngong, Bwana Jieno, whether it's an accident or not, then it will be a very bad coincidence, But again, looking at what has been happening, most people now are wary, and we are warning. Tunaona hata akina Gachagua, I think kwanza number one, they should stop. They should be very keen. They should stop flying around. Because hata kama hiyo accident ya ndege inakuwa ni kama hata matri ni better. but really better. Alafu loss of life in Kenya pia imekuwa cheapened so much that inafanyika tu, alafu we just jump there. Tunasema investigation itafanywa, tunaambiwa we stop speculation. I've never, by the way, I've lived long enough in Kenya. Hakuna report ishawahi kuja ya those kind of accidents, hata za kina Saitoti, hizo zote za kina nani wanaitwaje, kina Collins, all those crashes. Hakuna ile mara ripoti zimepelekwa sijui wapi, zimeenda kuchunguzwa huko nje and all that. I think all that is just theatrics because there is that very cruel and crude belief. Tumalizie tu, watu watapiga kelele kidogo halafu tutadi. Naona kama hiyo history ya Kenyatta nakuwa mada tu, halafu riot, polisi watawapiga matia gas, mtanyamaza. So I think people should be very careful now. And I think call upon God to protect, because sasa itamaanisha nini? Inamaanisha you can be picked anywhere, anything can happen to you anytime because you don't have the power. Power iko na wale wako nayo. So I think the gear that the opposition should engage is just being very, very cautious, very, very cautious indeed. Because I think our government has always very little to lose. Yeah, they can do anything to people when people are powerless. So it's a very sad affair, especially when you correlate. Unaona yenyewe hii ilifanyika, hii imefanyika, hii imefanyika, hii imefanyika. Yeah, so for me, I just feel desperate and you wait for things to go the way they are going. Yeah, especially when somebody goes even boasting, hata anaongea hiyo vitu za death, it looks like it's a kawaida thing, and then mnaambiwa msiongee chochote, mnyamaze. I saw some Kipsigis on TV saying that the people should shut up, leave Kipsigis alone, leave the family alone. That was this former NAT teacher, socio, alikuwa anaona watu kwa TV that you should shut up, wachane na maneno ya wa Kipsigis. So that's the sad affair, Bwana Njiri.
Yeah, that's Tony PK. I think so. Maybe you can comment on this final story. Maybe as we call it a day, there are two caravans which might happen this week. Ya upinzani na caravan ya kina Sifuna inashikana na Kalonzo. I'm hearing they will be going to Ukambani, na then kuna caravan yetu ya kina Gachagua inaenda pande ya Embu na Meru. I think they are still focusing on the same concept of popularization. Do you think they need to continue popularizing hivyo, ama kuna vitu zingine baadhi ya zile ambazo wanafaa kukua akifanya, like focusing on the election and voter registration? So I think they are doing a caravan type.
The caravan
in towns, ile wanaenda wakisimama in small towns as they speak, wanasimama Mwea wanaongea, wanasimama Embu town wanaongea, wanasimama Mutendore wanaongea, wanasimama Kiritiri wanaongea hivyo. It's a caravan. That's what, caravan is where you are going stopping and speaking to people. Kama zile zinafanyangwa na Inoro, they are doing the same.
Yeah, that's called
Umemalizia? Sikupata hiyo. Stone, are you there? Stone PK, are you there? Ni kama Stone amepotea. Anyway, mi nimeshukuru today I was not going to have a long show. Tutamalizia tuonane kesho. Kama bado hujatusubscribe, you can subscribe us. Oh. Ulikuwa umepotea Stone.
I don't have a problem. But there is a second that we must complete.
Unaongelea ndani. Karibia mic tafadhali.
There is this one that we are waiting for. Because tunangoja maja. Interestingly, describe inasema karavani moja inaenda pande hii na yetu inaenda pande hii. Si already kuna ile umejiassociate naye. So that now is what we want to eliminate. You know, hatutaki kuwe kuna ya Sifuna, kuna ya Changwa, unaona, which is yetu tulianza mapema. Okay? So now we want, hivyo wamefanya. We wanted to see them. Yeah, we wanted to see the forces. Okay? So hiyo force is what people watu walikuwa wanataka kuona imebuild. Okay? And now, hiyo sasa ndio itatupatia hope. Yeah, we need them to do that full round. Iende kabisa. Sasa watu waone sisi ni Sifuna, sisi ndio Sifuna, ni the entire opposition. Okay? We took that course and then it will build now. Remember the euphoria you were calling out for? That is where lies will come. And then now, as they do that, one thing I'm happy about is that now I hope they will start now bringing out issues, including issues, advising people come about the registration, bringing out the very sticky issues about the IBC, your kufanya. Actually generally agitating as they campaign. Awareness raising as they campaign, accelerating, showing that wakiwa wana doubts, waseme hizo doubts na wapeane conditions. Like nimesikia Sifuna kuna wale aliongea sana anasema kuhusu not Sifuna, Kalonzo ameongea tena seriously about the IBC, you know, and them not doing what they are supposed to do. They are supposed to cancel the contract. They are delaying. Ndio waseme time imeisha, alafu waseme tu watu waende na hiyo. So that they should take it serious. What are they doing about it? What does it take to cancel our nini? A wrongly acquired, renewed contract. Should not have taken this long since they let that off. Yeah. So waone kuna mchezo wataka kucheza, ni wafanye nini? Hata kama watakon maandamano, now it will be generally accepted maandamano of the two forces. That is the pressure we want. And when it becomes that big force, then definitely it bear fruit. Yeah. Ile postponement ya nini ya hiyo kuweka pressure itoke. Watu wakuwe serious so that there is a general call other than just going saying real and all that. Yeah, that is what I feel. So it's good for us to see that kind of a thing. And yes, Kenya ni kubwa. Kule nani alikuwa anaweza asirudi. Now kule Kachagua alikuwa asirudi. Sasa huko ndio akina nani waende. Sifuna na at least those others. so that they are able now to sensitize everybody. And then people should explain really. Alafu sisi asimu anajulikana uchaguo nini na nini. Asimu senator wana hiyo. Someone kidding on the block. Yeah. So you should be able to introduce the properly and the introduction yake ni emphasizing on what it stands for. Si kwenda kuambia watu vya ODM. Okay? Wewe enda mbele ama na ODM haiko unaanza kuonyesha kuambia watu vile ni katibu. Wewe ndio ulikuwa katibu wa chama sijui nini hiyo. Unajua he proudly introduces himself like that. Hiyo na watu kama kwa Luyani, Jaluoni, Mombasa maybe, but to these other people he should show how is a senator, how he stands with the Genji, how he cannot bring or ever lining up to support him. That should be a selling card. Then goes up.
Stone unapotelea. Ama umemaliza? Stone umemalizia? Haya ni sawa. Ya nimeshukuru, so wacha tupatane kesho. Tomorrow we should be able to start a little bit early.